It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China. It streams exclusively on Angel Studios app and site starting on October 23rd. And all you need to do is go to angel.com/Rav to stream it. So be ready to watch, question, and share as the quest for truth and accountability continues.
This is American Sunrise Early Edition. Here are the headlines that matter first. First, I am Brian Glenn. A lot unfolding right now. Here's what's driving the day. On Capitol Hill, the next step in securing the vote. House hearing is set to make elections great again in just a few hours. Proof of citizenship, paper ballots, clear deadlines, the Trump agenda moving forward, principle to policy. Find out what's on the table. That straight ahead. As tensions build around Iran, America moves on the map. Vice President J.D. Vance on the ground in Armenia, brokering peace, opening trade routes, and cutting out Russia and Iran. From diplomacy to dominance, why this trip matters. That's coming up next as well. And then to Wall Street, the Dow breaking 50,000, and President Trump is predicting 100,000 by the end of his terms. Tariffs, trade, prosperity, from America first to economic firepower. The message, the movement, all this, plus more, as American Sunrise Early Edition starts right now.
Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition. The show where faith, freedom, and the values that built this nation take center stage.
You people and others like you built this country.
Join us as we break down the stories that matter.
FAFO.
If you don't know, now you know.
American Sunrise Early Edition on Real America's Voice starts now.
All right, good morning. Before we get into today's forecast, take a look at the bottom of your screen right now. That QR code is your ticket to join the Weather Nation family. Scan it, get connected, and even better, your hometown forecast could be next. Head over to Real America's Voice chats on Getter, Rumble, YouTube during the 9 a.m. hour of American Sunrise. And if you're selected, we'll deliver your hometown forecast live. So jump in, be a part of the fun, and join us and our Weather Nation family. So joining us now for today's forecast is Weather Nation's Tracy Anthony. Good morning, Tracy. What is on the forecast for today?
Yeah, you know, we were a little quiet yesterday, but now things are going to start to ramp up. So just over the next 40 or 24 hours, we are going to have snow that's spreading from the northern Rockies. This was Big Sky, Montana, throughout the day yesterday. You can see they were inundated with that snow, and now we're going to have another system that's going to bring snow all across the Rockies, and areas like Colorado desperately need that snow. They're definitely running a deficit, but warmer and windy across the Central Plains. We do have some rain across parts of central Texas, and that's all associated with a little clipper system that's going to move across the Northeast and New England, bringing about 3 to 6 inches of snow throughout the day to New England. So just some lighter rain, not too much, maybe an inch or two as the system passes, but we're in for more rain by the end of the week. It's going to be this system that's coming on shore out west that's going to move over the Rockies, and we're going to continue to watch that into the second half of the week. But daytime highs, we're really starting to feel the warmer weather across the country, even Boston above freezing. That's going to feel pretty nice by the afternoon. The Twin Cities still in the 30s, and even Billings 47. You're still good about 10 degrees above average for this time of year. So very mild. Bismarck close to 20 degrees above average. We're still a little below average just across the Northeast, but we are all feeling those temperatures bumping up. So get out there and enjoy it. You're going to have to battle some of the rain showers and some of the snow by the end of the week. Now, Brian, we were chit-chatting a little bit before. I asked if you'd ever been to Hawaii, because if you missed it, over the weekend, Hawaii was inundated by a big storm. You can see here, this is on the Big Island trying to restore power. Over 100,000 people lost power. They had 30 inches of rain in some cities in just 3 days.
Incredible. I can't imagine what those people are dealing with, but oh yes, I can, because I've been through a couple hurricanes where we got about that amount of rain, but definitely a situation there. Tracy, and of course, we'll see you back here in American Sunrise with our lucky hometown forecast if you're selected. So Tracy, we'll see you in a few.
Sounds good.
All right, as we start this morning, let's begin with God's Word. Today's verse comes from Psalms 32:8, and it reads, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will guide you with my eye. Good stuff there. All right, let's turn our attention to our top story. Happening this morning on Capitol Hill, the real first test on whether election integrity moves from just talk to action. A full House hearing is set to make elections great again. It's getting underway at 10:15 here local time. This isn't a message hearing. This is a mechanics hearing. And the question is no longer do they care, it's how fast can they move. Joining us now, Rachel Bavard, Vice President of Programming at the Conservative Partnership Institute. Rachel, first of all, good morning. Thanks for joining us today. Is this the moment that election integrity finally hits the legislative track?
Yes, after talking about this for almost a decade at this point, congressional Republicans are finally moving on this. And not just in committee. You have two election bills moving simultaneously. The Make Elections Great Again bill, which is the subject of today's hearing, and then the SAVE Act, or the Save America Act, which some people may have heard of, which is getting a lot of attention and will possibly get a vote on the floor of the House this week.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think you and I were starting to chat before the show, and I was going to tell you that when you go around the country and you talk to Americans, this is pretty much one of the top agenda items that they want. They want secure elections, want to make sure that all these illegal immigrants that come to our country, that everyone's a legal citizen to vote. But it's also just cleaning up the process and just making sure that we have the most secure elections on this face of the planet. And right now, it looks like we're on the track to perhaps securing it even more.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at the polling on this question. It's, when the media or the corporate press talks about it, they make it seem like it's a fringe issue. It's, just, the conservative right. Well, no, if you look at just the question of voter ID, should you present an ID before you cast a vote? That is an 80% issue across the country. That is a majority of Democrats supporting it in addition to Republicans. People understand this because it's common sense. And it's interesting, the Save America Act, which again, I think may receive a vote as early as tomorrow on the House floor, requires that. It says you must present an ID to vote, you must present proof of citizenship to register to vote, and that states must clean up their voter rolls, meaning getting rid of any illegals that are on those voter rolls. These are very common sense things, and yet when you hear them discussed in the corporate press, it's just hyperventilating about, can you imagine? And it's like, well, no, this is actually how you secure and legitimize democracy. There's so much polling, again, that shows across the spectrum, people don't believe our elections are fairly or competently run. And that's a real problem, especially when you have elections that are certified at tiny margins. Marionette Miller Meeks, a Republican in the House, won her election by 6 votes. It is imperative, if people are going to trust those results, that you have baseline maintenance of our election laws. And that's what's in the Save America Act. That's what we're going to be talking about on the Hill today at this hearing at 10:15. That's what we should be talking about, honestly, for the rest of the year.
Okay, so walk our viewers through the process. Is there any other agenda on this? Mail-in ballots, absentee ballots. What are some of the other topics that are being discussed right now?
Yeah, so you have the Save America Act, which is pretty narrowly tailored to those three issues that I mentioned: voter ID, proof of citizenship to vote, cleaning up the voter rolls. The Make Elections Great Again Act, which is the subject of today's hearing at 10:15 in the House Administration Committee, is much more comprehensive than that. It also deals with voter ID, but it deals with making sure mail-in balloting, those ballots have to arrive by Election Day. It bans things like ranked choice voting, ballot harvesting, a lot of the areas that we've seen the left sort of dig in and say, no, these are all legal, but they create a lot of election irregularities. So it really goes in and tries to clean up the process. Again, the way that I like to describe these things is baseline election maintenance. That's what's happening here, is just making elections secure, transparent, and fair, and restoring the confidence necessary to have a functioning republic. If people don't trust the election results, then what are we doing here? So that's the goal of that larger bill.
I agree. You know, it's interesting, Rachel. I think back after the 2020 election when Doug Mastriano, a state senator there in Pennsylvania, started having these public hearings talking about some of the discrepancies that he found in his state. And I later found out that people in Pennsylvania had like till November 14th, I think, to get their ballot mailed, their absentee ballot mailed in. It was something like that. I'm like, wait a minute, that's actually after Election Day. How can they remotely call an election if they anticipate ballots coming in later in the month? Like, will stuff like this get cleaned up as far as the dates that the actual count the vote, that these ballots, they must be in an office at a particular time? Are they going to clean that up?
Yeah, that's a big provision of the Make Elections Great Again Act, is specifically that issue. All the mail-in ballots must be in by a specific date, by the election day. If they arrive after, they are not counted. And again, to your point, it just gets at these basic, irregularity issues. How can you certify an election when all of the votes still haven't come in? And it's funny when you talk to people around the country about this issue, a lot of these things are unbelievable to people, as you just pointed out. I'm sorry, wait, we're still counting votes after the election is certified? Or, you don't have to present an ID to vote. You don't have to proof of citizenship. Like, these are things people already think exist. And so it's just baseline cleanup of some of these issues and instituting them into the federal law so that the things people already think are happening are actually happening.
And Rachel, remember the drop boxes? And you had numerous vans and unmarked cars just dumping all these ballots in the drop box in the middle of the night. I mean, even if those were legitimate ballots, just the whole fuzzy gray area is what I think we want to eliminate, so that at the end of the day, when the election is called, we don't have to say, now, wait a minute, what about those drop boxes over there? And I know that was a COVID thing, too, to keep our elections, everyone's 6 feet distance and all that stuff. But Rachel, we appreciate your reporting on this, and please keep us updated on what happens again. And just to recap for our viewers real quickly, that happens at 10:15 this morning. Is that correct?
10:15 today. You can probably catch it streaming on C-SPAN, but if not, it's on the House Administration Committee. I would suggest everybody tune in. The witnesses are going to be great.
Yeah, Rachel, we really appreciate your insight on this. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. All right, from Wall Street to Main Street, President Trump is predicting, get this, the Dow at 100,000, I'm sorry, by the end of his term. That's crazy. And the strategy behind the surge is what the six-figure Dow would mean for America's next economy phase. More American Sunrise, early edition, coming up after the break. Stick around.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials and whistleblowers in the most controversial narrative of our time that may also be one of the largest cover-ups in modern public health history.
There was a cover-up.
Why would we trade the Chinese the most advanced biotechnology in the world?
He's a spy.
It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China. It streams exclusively on Angel Studios app and site starting on October 23rd. And all you need to do is go to angel.com/Rav to stream it. So be ready to watch, question, and share as the quest for truth and accountability continues.
All right, welcome back. America's Sunrise Early Edition, a live look at the White House, where at the top of the hour, I will be making my way over there. Maybe I'll walk today. I don't know. Maybe I'll take an Uber. Kind of cold out. All right, let's take a look at some of today's top headlines. Vice President J.D. Vance is in our first time a sitting president or a vice president has ever visited the country. This comes as the U.S. builds military and diplomatic pressure around Iran, tightening the ring without firing a shot. At the center of the trip, a nuclear energy agreement up to $5 billion in U.S. exports, a historic peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan, two countries locked in decades of conflict. The deal would reopen transport routes, rejaw regional trade, and cut both Russia and Iran out of the loop. The message, America's back and has the power of brokering peace and reshaping the map. A federal judge has ordered the unsealing of documents related to the FBI raid on Fulton County's election facility. The raid targeted the 2020 election materials, including ballots, the tabulator data, voter rolls. The judge has given the government until today to file records with limited redactions. Good luck on that. The move should shed new light on the federal investigation into election operations in deeply democratic Fulton County, Georgia. The Jack Smith saga moves into the next phase today on Capitol Hill. A Senate Judiciary Subcommittee holding a hearing focused not on Smith, but on how his Arctic frost probe was carried out. This time, the spotlight is on telecoms, AT&T, Verizon, Lumen, and how phone and data records of hundreds of Republicans, including members of Congress, were turned over to federal investigators. This hearing marks a shift from allegations to accountability. All right, let's turn our attention to the next story. A controversy comment from a sitting Texas lawmaker back in the spotlight after going viral again. Texas Jean Wu claiming white Americans are the oppressors, that demographics should decide who controls this country. Take a listen.
I always tell people the day the Latino, African American, Asian, and other communities realize that they share the same oppressor is the day we start winning. Because we are the majority in this country now. We have the ability to take over this country and to do what is needed for everyone and to make things fair. But the problem is our communities are divided. They're completely divided.
The remarks forcing a question, is this subversion, and why won't Democrats answer for it? Joining us now is Chris Salcedo, conservative radio talk show host and the author of The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino. Chris, always a fan of yours. Glad to have you on the show this morning. You know, you hear words like that and you kind of you have to scratch your head for a second and go, what is he thinking? Why would he say something like that?
I know. You know, look, Brian, everybody out there is going to say, "Oh, this is so controversial," and I hate to bust everybody's bubble. It's not controversial. This is the Democrat playbook. This is who and what Democrats are, and I can say that definitively is no Democrat has come out and condemned the racist comments that Gene Wu just made, and it's racist on so many levels. Let's all remember the Jim Crow South being constructed by the Democrat Socialist Party even back in the day. Fast forward, the proverbial apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You got Gene Wu, not born in this country. He was born in China, came over to this country, and has a history of a lot of devotion and tilts the way of communist China in matters here in the United States. And what Gene Wu said, if you listen to exactly his words, it was racist, first off, by calling all white people oppressors, and then saying that I'm not sure he's got a mouse in his pocket, we need to take over against the oppressors, steal the voices of white Americans. I can't think of anything more anti-American and racist than that. And then he assumes the we he was talking about, people like me, people of color, your liberty-loving Latino here, and our patriotic black friends, and those in other communities that are not quote unquote white, that they are all leftists and Marxists just like he is. So this assumption that we all think like him, it's racist on so many levels, and this is the agenda of the Democrat Socialist Party. And I think, Brian, the sad part, I'm going to say something again, probably a little more controversial that a lot of Americans don't know. Gene Wu is backed here in the state of Texas by Republicans. I kid you not.
I believe you. Chris, I believe you. And I was just going to ask you, this is a page out of the playbook. Are people buying this, though? Because I think the minorities have been used in such horrible ways by the left. They've used as puppets. But I don't think that they are buying this. But maybe I'm wrong.
No, the vast majority of people in this country, they want to get on with being Americans, whether you're black, white, Asian, it doesn't really matter. Latinos like me, it doesn't matter. We just want to get back to being the United States of America. We cannot be the United States of America ever again so long as the current version of the Democrat Party exists. And about those Republicans I mentioned, 36 fake Republicans in the Texas House abandoned the Republican Party and colluded with Gene Wu there to appoint a Democrat-approved speaker. He calls himself a Republican, but 36 fake Republicans joined 49 real leftists in the state of Texas to put up a speaker. You've got the embodiment of anti-American racism right there in Gene Wu, and he has a lot of universal support among Democrats, but an uncomfortable amount of support from fake Republicans right here in Texas.
Yeah, it's amazing, Chris, when you look at Collin County, Tarrant County, you look at the Frisco, Plano area, how many immigrants have moved in to that area. I just saw a stat the other day that 33% of Frisco was made up of Indians or somebody from, the Far East. 33%. I've been in DFW for a while. You've lived in DFW for quite some time as well. Like, this shift is happening, and a lot of times they're not voting for Republicans. They're voting for Democrats and for people like Gene Wu. I mean, I think the dynamic is shifting a little bit there in Texas, and it doesn't surprise me because remember the speaker fight, Chris, with Dade Phelan? When all that was happening? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The current guy that received the Democrat approval, Dusty Burrows, he is the one where 36 fake Republicans betrayed the country, betrayed their voters to install him with 49 Democrats. But look, about immigration, I think Americans are okay with immigration so long as it is based on, first off, are you coming to America to be an American? I think we have to insist on that, number one.
Correct.
Number two, is your presence here going to be of benefit to the country? I'm not certain who said it was a good idea that we need to open up America's borders to disadvantage our own people. That seems to be the Democrat way. Sadly, a lot of complicit Republicans as well say, you know what, America is for the place where you come from around the globe. As Beijing Biden opened up the borders to 168 countries, illegal aliens streaming in here. Unvetted, most of millions of them unvetted. Look, I think we ought to have a sensible immigration policy that puts Americans first and America first. And then, because I'm very much a big believer in that. And then all illegal immigration is just that, illegal immigration. Nobody has a right to be in our country illegally. And it's about time there was a universal acceptance of that. I think our people are there. We just have to bring our government along.
I agree. For that book, once again, how could people find your book?
The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino and New American Revolution. That revolution, by the way, folks, is that millions of liberty-loving Latinos crossed over, abandoned the Democrat Socialist Party, and voted for America First and President Trump in 2024. You can pick it up on Amazon, folks. Whenever you pick up a book, Brian, an angel gets his or her wings. So do your bid for King and Country.
I love it.
and well, God Almighty, and then pick up a book.
All right, Chris, we appreciate your time this morning, and we look forward to talking to you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. All right, before we go to break, an organic skincare brand called Terrance has been turning heads recently in all magazines, Elle, Cosmo, LA Weekly, and to date, they've helped over 60,000 women fall in love with their skin. That's right. Terrance delivers clean, organic skincare without the harsh preservatives. Their Cellular Restore Serum features a gentle alternative to retinol, and it's a small focus group. Back at 92.9% of women saw fewer wrinkles after just 3 weeks of applying this serum. Now, their Cellular Hydration Serum contains tremella mushroom, which hydrates the deepest layers of the skin. Then there's a Lift and Glow organic eye cream as well. If you want to lighten the appearance of dark under eye circles and restore a radiant complexion, then you'll love the Lift and Glow. And then finally, you have the Even Glow Serum. The Even Glow features Kakadu Plum, which delivers 100 times more concentrate than vitamin C than oranges. Even Glow works wonders for reducing dark spot appearances. And right now, at limited time, you can save 35% on all Terrance products. Just simply go to Terrance.com and enter the code EARLY at the checkout. Information's on your screen there. Promo code EARLY to save 35% on your order today. This makes for a great gift. I say this every time. It just does. All right, coming up, from Wall Street to Main Street, the Dow surges, Bitcoin in focus. What does it mean for America? We're talking about that when we come back.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
Followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer, in the moments I'm afraid. There's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky, when I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light. Follow the light.
For those who love great animated classics like The Lion King and Prince of Egypt, David is an awe-inspiring animated musical that depicts David as a spirited boy who fought lions, giants, and even betrayal, depicting how one boy's faith could lead him to be king of Israel. David will be released in theaters just in time for Christmas on December 19th, but your family can get a head start by watching the prequel to the film, Young David, which is streaming exclusively right now on Angel. It's perfect for the entire family and has memorable music. So once you join the Angel Guild, you can start watching Young David right now and prepare the fam for the David film in theaters in December. And by joining the Guild, you'll guarantee 2 free tickets to see it. And it's a great value. Let's be honest, going to the movies isn't all that cheap. But if you're a member of the Angel Guild, not only do you get those 2 free tickets to David, but you'll now have access to every single film or TV series on Angel at your convenience.
All right, welcome back. American Sunrise Early Edition. I am Brian Glenn. That is Chicago. And someone's stuck in traffic. If they're not already stuck, they will be. Some of the worst in the country. All right, before we dive in, let's get a quick word from one of our sponsors as well, Artillery Tea Company. That's the only America First veteran-owned tea brand, and their mission is simple: maximize flavor with whole leaf tea blends and chemical-free tea bags. No junk, just real tea. But here's a tactical advantage. Each bag brews twice. Just go to artilleryco.com and use a promo code RAV for 10% off your order. That's artillerytco.com. Premium tea, mission-driven, brewed for the brave. Good stuff there this morning. All right, let's turn our attention now to the economy, from a surging stock market to a potential capital flood. President Trump predicting the Dow will peak at 100,000 by the end of his term. And today, the U.S. Senate is in the spotlight, a vote set for 2 p.m. on a major Bitcoin and crypto market structure bill. This legislation could unlock up to $3 trillion in new capital, a decision that could reshape America's financial future. Joining us now, Seth Denson, business and market analyst. Seth, welcome back to the show. Are we watching the next phase of Trump's economic agenda to take shape in real time today?
I certainly hope so, Brian. That would be good for America. It'd be good for the globe. So anybody rooting against that for political reasons should be ashamed of themselves. What we'll be anxious to see, though, is what we're seeing right now on Wall Street is a lot of optimism. I think the recent announcement of the president's Fed chair pick helped shape that. What I am not seeing, though, is that effectively matriculate into Main Street. And that's when we really will start to see the economic engine take off. When what we're seeing happen on Wall Street matriculates into Main Street, that's when we start to see things really get good. My hope is that we're getting there. We're starting to cross over the Rubicon, if you will, of affordability down to Main Street. But it's taking some time to undo what was done over the last 4 years.
100,000. Is that possible in the next 2.5 years, I guess you could say?
I mean, it's possible. It would have to have some record highs and some record investments. Now, the United States of America is the hotbed of where investments are going right now. So I would stop short of saying it's impossible, and I certainly hope I get to see it. But I'm also not going to go on record of saying that I'm expecting it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember when the Dow hit 10,000 for the first time, and I used to think, 10,000? This is crazy. Now look at it. I mean, of course, with the tariffs and like you said, we get business moving back into this country, factories, they're kind of a rebirth of American industrialism in a way of bringing all this stuff back. I think potentially it is possible. Now, you're a market expert. At some point, the market breathes, though. It steps back for a little bit, takes some profit off the table, and then goes up. So could we see that before we see 100,000?
Brian, and I tend to be a studier of history more than anything else. And if we look back over history, it is very common that in midterm years, we see a pullback. Now, by the end of the year, it bounces back and it oftentimes recovers, almost always recovers, actually. But we do see a pullback, typically before the end of the second quarter. I think a lot of us about a week ago were sitting there, well, maybe this is it. We had a down day. Maybe this is the beginning of that. That didn't happen. Obviously, it rallied right back. But here's the other thing. A lot lot of these businesses, I mentioned earlier, these valuations of these companies are just they're crazy. And by the way, that's good for them, but that has to materialize into business output and earnings per share and capability to deliver on the financials. And so until we start to see that on a consistent basis, which I'm hoping we will, I don't know that I'm getting into the 100 or the Dow hitting the numbers that the president is thinking it might.
Well, so far he's been pretty good. I remember on Liberation Day there, was it April 2nd, when he rolled out the tariffs, they thought the world was going to collapse, and that didn't happen. So, hey, I think President Trump, when it comes...
I am great with his predictions, Brian, and you're right. I mean, I wouldn't bet against whatever he predicts, that's for sure. I'm hopeful that he's right on this.
Seth Denson, thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great day on your Tuesday. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, buddy.
Thank you. All right, coming up, we head over to our Denver newsroom for the latest headlines that you need to know as America's Sunrise Early Edition rolls on after the break.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
Followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer, in the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind, and a story in the sky, when I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light. Follow the light.
For those who love great animated classics like The Lion King and Prince of Egypt, David is an awe-inspiring animated musical that depicts David as a spirited boy who fought lions, giants, and even betrayal, depicting how one boy's faith could lead him to be king of Israel. David will be released in theaters just in time for Christmas on December 19th, but your family can get a head start by watching the prequel to the film, Young David, which is streaming exclusively right now on Angel. It's perfect for the entire family and has memorable music. So once you join the Angel Guild, you can start watching Young David right now and prepare the fam for the David film in theaters in December. And by joining the Guild, you'll guarantee 2 free tickets to see it. And it's a great value. Let's be honest, going to the movies isn't all that cheap. But if you're a member of the Angel Guild, not only do you get those 2 free tickets to David, but you'll now have access to every single film or TV series on Angel at your convenience.
Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition, the show where faith, freedom, and the values that built this nation take center stage.
Welcome back, America's Sunrise Early Edition. I am Brian Glenn. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday morning. Let's head over to our Denver newsroom for the latest headlines with the one and only Terrance Bates. Terrance, good morning, my friends.
Hey, Brian, good
Tuesday.
morning. It is Tuesday, and it still feels like a Monday. It feels like the bus ran over me just again, but hey, we'll be okay. I want to start with a couple of related stories here, Brian. Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna appear ready to name names of at least 6 people who they say are, quote, likely incriminated in the Justice Department's latest Jeffrey Epstein document dump. The names surfaced after the congressman reviewed unredacted versions of those documents. Now, get this. While the lawmakers are on record saying that they want to give the DOJ more time to unredact files, they're also prepared to share the names on the House floor. Now, if they move forward with outing those potential suspects whose names are in those documents, they'd also be protected under the House's speech and debate clause, which of course provides lawmakers immunity from civil or even criminal liability. Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie, by the way, says that one of the names is associated with a man who is, quote, pretty high up in a foreign government. There's still no word this morning if the person in question is former British ambassador to the United States, Peter Mandelson, whose name has recently been associated with the Epstein case. Mandelson's appointment by current British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, though, has Starmer fighting off furious calls for his resignation. And as I said, in a related story, Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell appears to be wheeling and dealing this morning when it comes to divulging information about Jeffrey Epstein and his sex trafficking ring. On Monday, she followed through on her promise to invoke the Fifth Amendment so as to not incriminate herself during her deposition before the House Oversight Committee. Investigators say that she was questioned during a video call from the federal prison camp in Texas where she's currently being held, serving a 20-year prison sentence for sex trafficking. An attorney for Maxwell has reportedly told lawmakers, O'Brien, that Maxwell is willing to testify that neither President Trump nor former President Bill Clinton are responsible for any wrongdoing in their relationship with Epstein. Maxwell, of course, trying to have her conviction overturned, saying that she was wrongfully convicted. Brian, I want to bring you in on this one. As I said, related cases. First of all, are names going to come out? Do you think Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie actually go through with this, go on the House floor and start to name names? It seems to me that would be a huge development, and that gets us closer to where the American people want to be.
Yeah, I know they are protected by the speech and debate clause, which is the only way they would be able to do this. I know that Thomas Massie was on CNN last night, and Caitlin Collins was kind of pushing him to make an announcement on one of the individuals that I guess was a high-ranking CEO of a major company. He did not want to do it at that particular format. I don't blame him because there's a lot of legality with all of this as far as slandering somebody or in whatever fashion, but it would be huge. I will say that it would be huge. And the reason why the women never did it before, Terrance, is but they feared for lawsuits, because if somebody's victims, and most all of them, they don't have the financial backing to defend themselves in court. So that's why a lot of them never went up and went in front of a microphone and basically, name names, because they feared of being imprisoned, jailed, sued, or dead in certain cases. So this thing is, it's interesting, Terrance. Every day I wake up, there's just more files and more demonic stuff being pushed out. I don't know if the American people are becoming Epstein fatigued, but I know with some of this dark stuff that I'm seeing, I am becoming Epstein fatigued. Yeah, it's disheartening the way all of this is played out. At this point, I'm in the school of thought, I just want names. Excuse me. And I realize that allegations are just that. They're just allegations. It doesn't make anyone guilty. Unfortunately, allegations in the court of public opinion can be an Achilles heel. It can be something that impacts someone's life. But what I'd like to see then maybe as a happy medium, Brian, is that people whose names are named in these files, that they simply be called in for a deposition. At that point, you're not necessarily pointing the finger. You're not indicting them, but you're asking questions. And at that point, we have more perspective, I think, as the public on who was named. Maybe that's a happy medium. I'm not so sure that's fair either. But the reality is, whoever may have been involved, they definitely weren't fair to those victims. You're right. They want accountability. That's exactly what the American people want, is accountability. Yeah. And for some of these elite pedophiles and these sexual predators to be protected by some, by the elite, it's wrong. They want accountability. So I'm with you on that. Absolutely. All right, Brian, I want to move to another story that the whole country is really watching. The disappearance of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, becoming increasingly more suspicious. The elder Guthrie still missing more than a week after investigators believe she was abducted. Now, the latest twist in this case is that the Guthrie family acknowledged over the weekend that they were prepared to pay a ransom, which was purportedly due Monday evening. Well, on Monday, the FBI released a statement saying that it wasn't aware of any ongoing communication between the family and any suspected kidnappers. The feds also say they haven't identified any suspects or persons of interest in the case. The Today Show host released this video on social media Monday, though, as well.
No matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, If you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help.
Brian, by the way, no confirmation this morning on whether the family, in fact, did pay the ransom, if there was, in fact, one. We'll, of course, keep you updated. But, Brian, you know, I'm no detective, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn last night, and I got lots of questions. There's just a lot of stuff that's fishy about this case, specifically the idea that the FBI is saying, oh, well, we had no information that the Guthries were even in communication with these supposed kidnappers. One would think that if you've got the access to all of these feds to help in the investigation and finding your mother, that you would let them know at every turn what you're doing, and you wouldn't just be off on your own island doing your own thing. I've got questions. I don't know what's really going on. I'm not trying to be insensitive, but something's just not adding up, Brian.
It's not. It's not adding up at all, and that's really kind of a head scratcher there, how they could have communication with a potential kidnapper, but yet nobody in the law enforcement knows anything about it. That's a little strange. We'll keep an eye on that as it develops. It seems like every day there's more and more information coming out, but we need to definitely keep that whole family in our prayers. Thank you, Terrance. We'll see you back on the other side of the break.
All right, Brian.
All right, yes, sir. All right, a stunning admission from a juror in the O.J. Simpson trial, not about the evidence, about the verdict. Take a listen.
Do you think that they're members of the jury that voted to acquit O.J. because of Rodney King?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
How many of you think felt that way?
Oh, probably 90% of us.
90%? Did you feel that way?
Yes.
That was payback?
Uh-huh.
You think that's right?
Well, 3 decades later, the truth still finds a way to surface. Joining us now is Joe Georgenova, a former U.S. attorney for D.C. Joe, when I saw that video, I'm like, all right, well, so when verdicts are driven by factors outside of the evidence, what does that do to the trust in the justice system?
Well, it doesn't help it, but it does prove one thing conclusively. The jury selection process in the O.J. Simpson case was abysmal. Also, the case was moved out of Santa Monica downtown to Los Angeles, where they had an entirely different jury pool. The verdict never would have been the same if the case had been in Santa Monica, which is where the crimes were actually committed. I think the problem now posed by those statements from that juror, and they were welcome, by the way, a little bit of honesty is very, very helpful. The jury selection process in the United States is a mess. And that's because state and federal judges, mostly federal judges, are doing a horrendous job of questioning jurors during what's called voir dire, or when you interview jurors before they are selected to sit on the jury. The federal judges in Washington, D.C., for example, have done a horrific job of questioning jurors, allowing the most prejudiced, for example, anti-Trump, anti-Republican, anti-conservative people to sit on a jury. In a city where 99% of the jurors are Democrats, the jury selection process has to be particularly careful. And if anything, it's been extremely negligent by the judges there. So what I take from the interview with the O.J. Simpson juror is, A, I'm not surprised, and B, it shows the jury selection process was awful, and that in the modern era where we live now, jury selection is even worse.
Yeah, Joe, how can someone, do you take a high-profile case with the media coverage that is 24/7, 365, all gas, no break on the media cycle? How can we ever find a potential juror to sit in on a trial that has not been tainted by the story or does not know more about the story than the next guy? So is it even tougher now?
Yes, it is, because the sources of information have quadrupled in magnitude in terms where people get information. For example, jurors are told, apropos of your question, not to read about the case. That's nonsense. Jurors do go home every day and read about the case. They're told about the case. They can't ignore it because of all the media feeds, the streaming services, the stuff on the internet, podcasts. That's why they have to be voir dired every day during the trial. Did you go home? You have to have more alternates so that if people are honest, they can be dismissed from the jury pool. The problem is jurors are lying to judges. Judges have to do a better job of figuring that out. Most of the federal judges doing this are very sloppy. Considering that they have lifetime appointment, one would think they'd be a little bit more dedicated to their job. But if anything, we've learned that the district judges around this country, for example, the way they're treating Trump is just absolutely outrageous, predisposed, biased, unbelievable. So naturally, their jury selection is going to be sloppy as well. It's going to be real tough to find unbiased jurors. That's why judges have to be more careful. Problem is, they're not.
Yeah. Well, so to this day, Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman still have not received justice for what happened to them. That's, I guess we could all, in fairness, say
correct.
That. Joe? Yeah. All right, Joe, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate your insight on this.
You bet. Anytime.
All right, as we go to break, Real America's Music has partnered with Natasha Owens for her newest single, The Boss. A response to Bruce Springsteen's woke immigration song, We Need Your Help to Keep It Climbing. Let's make it number one. Download it right now on iTunes. Take a listen.
From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice. Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
There's a light I've always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer. In the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky. When I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light. Follow the light.
For those who love great animated classics like The Lion King and Prince of Egypt, David is an awe-inspiring animated musical that depicts David as a spirited boy who fought lions, giants, and even betrayal, depicting how one boy's faith could lead him to be king of Israel. David will be released in theaters just in time for Christmas on December 19th, but your family can get a head start by watching the prequel to the film, Young David, which is streaming exclusively right now on Angel. It's perfect for the entire family and has memorable music. So once you join the Angel Guild, you can start watching Young David right now and prepare the fam for the David film in theaters in December. And by joining the Guild, you'll guarantee 2 free tickets to see it. And it's a great value. Let's be honest, going to the movies isn't all that cheap. But if you're a member of the Angel Guild, not only do you get those 2 free tickets to David, but you'll now have access to every single film or TV series on Angel at your convenience.
All right, live look at Chicago right now. Looks cold, looks miserable. Glad I'm here with you. Welcome back, America Sunrise Early Edition. I am Brian Glenn in a very warm studio here in Washington, D.C., but also joining me is David Brody, who's not too far from me. David, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing great. All right, as we await, so what's going on today? You've got a lot of stuff on the show, lots in the news. We've got on Capitol Hill. They're trying to save our elections, trying to do the SAVE Act maybe. We're going to vote on that on the floor. Oh, so much.
Yeah, so much, and yet it's Congress. So we just wait for the ineptitude to begin, and it's already begun. And so, to me, it's like I feel like every week we're talking about a government shutdown deadline or some sort of deadline. And of course, it should shock us. It should not shock us that the DHS funding deadline comes on Friday the 13th, because that pretty much sums up Congress, if you think about it. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, the White House, as you know, sent that proposal over yesterday. That's the Democrats. Democrats don't like it. Shockingly, they don't like it. So what are they going to do? I mean, one of the things I'm watching to see is, what concessions is the White House going to give the Democrats, and what will the Democrats give the White House in return? Once again, I don't really have any answers right now because I don't think anybody has any answers, Brian.
Yeah, and then tomorrow, the White House getting another guest for, I think, the 6th or 7th time. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is coming at a very crucial time because now we've got this negotiations with Iran. Let's see if he wants to get in the middle of that.
Well, look, I mean, I think a lot of folks that follow the show and have heard me talk about Israel know exactly how and why I come down big time on the side of Israel. But we don't need to get into that. But I'll just simply say this. What are they waiting for? I'm not quite sure. Listen, Trump's not going to do nation building over there. He's not, if he's going to go into Iran, it's going to be bada bing, bada boom, in and out. I mean, he's not going to play around. So we don't need to worry about a George W. Bush situation. Now, having said that, I'm a little confused. President Trump said that the red line, in essence, was if you kill all of these protesters. Well, what is it? 10, 15, 20, 25,000, 30,000? I don't know. I've lost track. I mean, there's been tens of thousands of protesters do. What are they waiting for? I mean, I don't know. Anyhow.
Yeah. All right. We're going to see you in about 5 minutes on the other side of the break. Until next time, you can join me right here tomorrow, same time, same channel. Until next time, goodbye. God bless. We'll see you.
American Sunrise is a great way to start your morning. Join us Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We've got the news of the day and some compelling interviews that you don't want to miss. Here's what you missed from yesterday.
What are you doing? Are you filming me? Wait, I thought the cameras were off.
No, I'm sorry, guys. I'm logging into Prime Video to see if I look just as good on Prime Video as I do on our app.
You're up on Prime Video. So there you go. Now streaming.
Guys, there's another story that a lot of folks are talking about, and this, of course, is Savannah Guthrie's mother having been kidnapped, Nancy Guthrie. She's 84 years old. It's also on President Trump's radar. He posted on Truth Social that all government resources are going to be mobilized to help in the search for Nancy Guthrie. He also spoke with the family, offering them some words of solace. The Guthrie family, though, in the meantime, is out with a plea to the alleged kidnappers here.
There's nobody watching this that can't empathize because, some people in the world don't have children. Everybody at some point in their life had a mother, and it just is heartbreaking to watch.
This is turning into more than just a major national story. This is something that we're watching develop in real time that so many Americans want to know what's going on, and we're on top of it.
Democrats in Congress warning they may block funding for the Department of Homeland Security unless changes are made to immigration enforcement practices. The demands include more oversight of ICE, such as body cams and limits on arrests without warrants. Republicans oppose these changes, setting up a budget showdown ahead of a key funding deadline. How do you see the battle over DHS funding ending?
Look, I think it's going to be tough to actually get a real agreement here. We cannot tolerate illegal immigrants who are criminals and terrorists and drug traffickers running all over our streets, and the Democrats keep releasing them over and over again. That's the bottom line. They've released people, including murderers, rapists, sex offenders, and people with dozens of criminal convictions back onto our streets, and that is why ICE has to go into to the communities and fine them because there's zero cooperation from these local municipalities.
Congresswoman, let's talk about your own backyard, New York. Obviously, you represent Staten Island, also a portion of southern Brooklyn. This headline talking about anti-Semitic incidents in New York City nearly tripling despite other crimes reaching record lows. 182% rise in January since Mayor Mamdani has taken over. 31 anti-Jewish crimes reported in January alone compared to 11 a year ago.
The day after the election, there was a swastika found in a Brooklyn school just outside my district, a yeshiva. It is heart-wrenching. When it comes to these types of hate crimes, they need to be just as vigilant and take just as much decisive action to protect New Yorkers, particularly our Jewish friends.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
Followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer, in the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind, and a story in the sky, when I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light, follow the light.
For those who love great animated classics like The Lion King and Prince of Egypt, David is an awe-inspiring animated musical that depicts David as a spirited boy who fought lions, giants, and even betrayal, depicting how one boy's faith could lead him to be king of Israel. David will be released in theaters just in time for Christmas on December 19th, but your family can get a head start by watching the prequel to the film, Young David, which is streaming exclusively right now on Angel. It's perfect for the entire family and has memorable music. So once you join the Angel Guild, you can start watching Young David right now and prepare the fam for the David film in theaters in December. And by joining the Guild, you'll guarantee 2 free tickets to see it. And it's a great value. Let's be honest, going to the movies isn't all that cheap. But if you're a member of the Angel Guild, not only do you get those 2 free tickets to David, but you'll now have access to every single film or TV series on Angel at your convenience.
Ahead on American Sunrise, the Epstein Files saga continues. Lawmakers say the Justice Department redacted names of men that they believe are linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Congressman Thomas Massie, also Ro Khanna, a Democrat, claim they saw the unredacted files and they warn they may reveal those names on the House floor or in a hearing. We're going to delve into all of this. Plus, ICE fight. The White House and Democrats look to come to some sort of agreement on Homeland Security funding and changes to immigration enforcement before Friday's deadline. That'd be Friday the 13th, by the way. So what's the latest proposal from the Trump administration? Missouri Congressman Mark Alford weighing in on that and a whole lot more. And later, Trump and Cuba. Cuban-American lawmakers urging President Trump to apply total pressure on the Cuban government as the president works on the art of the deal. Expert analysis ahead. More on American Sunrise, and it all starts right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina. Good morning. I'm Dr. Gina. We are live with you from the Palm Beaches. Let's bring in David Brody. He's back, and he's in Washington, D.C., and Terrance Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. That he's back, guys, by the way, sounded like Friday the 13th, like a Freddy Krueger. I'm back.
It was my best impression. I finally wrapped up Stranger Things last night, so I'm in the creepy mode a little bit. Yeah, not worth it.
Nice.
Not worth it, by the way. But I think we have better news than that.
Yeah, there's a lot of news. David, good to have you back. So I want to start with this Time headline, which says Ghislaine Maxwell asked for clemency in exchange for testimony that will prove Trump is innocent. She, of course, testified before the House Oversight Committee yesterday, but pleaded the fifth in her testimony. Meantime, lawmakers now have access to unredacted files in the Jeffrey Epstein case. David, to welcome you back, I want to come right to you. It seems to me that Ghislaine Maxwell is willing to say anything at this point just to get out of jail, just to get her sentence commuted. Like, can you trust anything she says? And I'm not, again, saying that Trump was involved in any way, but she just appears to be willing to say anything. Whatever way the wind blows, she'll go with it in order to try to get out of prison.
Well, of course. And here's the other thing. I mean, she has already said that Trump was not involved in any of this. So now she's going to say, hey, if I tell you this, will you give me clemency? You've already told us it. So I don't understand. You got some more proof? Listen, no clemency, no anything for her. And if Trump does this, it's going to be, that's a red line for MAGA. Sorry, it's a red line for MAGA. That's the way I see it.
Oh,
Gina.
I definitely agree that wouldn't sit well with a lot of MAGA. Sorry, I was thinking through things in my head, and I guess you couldn't hear those. The thing about this whole thing is I just never want to talk about the Epstein files in any way, shape, or form without discussing how horrible, how horrendous. And anyone who says, I'm sorry, I can't go look at them, I mean, that's fine as long as you are on it every day talking about it, because every day I force myself just a little bit to watch some of those videos, to read some of those emails. And I remember that it's more horrific than any horror film I've ever seen, than any of the worst sexual exploitation I've ever read. And so this is something that we just cannot let go of. And that's just what I want to add to that. Every time we talk about it, I just think we've got to, it's so easy to say, and it's not just because of the victims, let me say that too. It's because it started a ring of people that are out there still doing the same horrendous thing. This goes all the way to Satanism and ritualistic, awful stuff that we don't discuss on morning shows, but we can't stop talking about it, and we can't stop praying about it, and we can't stop fighting for not just the victims from the past, also the victims that are still out there today. We have more sex slavery today than ever before in the history of mankind.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to talk about Congress's investigation specifically into the Epstein files throughout the show. But Dr. Gina, we need some Jesus right now. Please give us our Bible verse.
All right, today is Psalm 32, verse 8. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will guide you with my eye. Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna say they viewed the unredacted Justice Department Jeffrey Epstein files and found at least 6 men who appear likely incriminated, but their names were redacted in the public release. Think about why. Lawmakers say one is a high-ranking foreign official, another is a prominent individual, and they're pressing the DOJ to remove the blackouts. If the Department of Justice doesn't comply, Massie said he could disclose those names on the House floor or in a committee meeting. Let's now bring in Missouri Congressman Mark Alford. Congressman, I don't know how much you've read or seen of the videos. I don't know if you've had a chance to see the unredacted files. But this was a game changer for me in terms of my view on politics, on conspiracy, what I thought were conspiracy theories, on just the way business is done in this country and around the world, frankly.
Well, Dr. Gina, thanks for having me on. It's very disturbing. A lot of people don't want to look at these files. I don't blame them. There's a lot of prurient interest in it, but it's really demonstrable of just how evil Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell have been, had been, and the truth needs to come out. We've been pushing for transparency from the very beginning, that the files must be released. I think one of the biggest impediments to all this was, I think, Attorney General Bondi getting over skis a bit and saying the client list was on my desk. the FBI and the DOJ now saying there is no client list. They've been saying that for some time, and there is no tangible evidence that there was an organized ring getting other men or other individuals in contact with these victims and some survivors who were definitely, I think, done a disservice by how this process has played out. We want the truth. I know Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie are trying to seek that. What they're proposing to go on the House floor now and read some of the names of the files that they've seen unredacted. I don't know if that is a wise move. These men could be totally innocent. I don't know why those names were redacted, but we do need some answers, I think, from the FBI and DOJ on this.
Yeah, and this isn't going away at all. I mean, this is just going to continue on for a long time.
And that's the problem, David. Every social media post, you can put up that something great is happening in America. We can't even talk about our economy because, and the boon that we're about to see because of the one big beautiful bill. Everything to the detractors anyway is about Epstein, and we've got to nip that in the bud and give the victims, survivors, some closure to this, and the American people some closure.
And some arrests.
Well, exactly. And so my follow-up on that, you said nip it in the bud. How do you do it? How does this end then once and for all? So you mentioned arrests, Gina. So what are you saying, Congressman?
Well, when I'm saying, at first they said there were no more files. OK, it turns out there were, 5 million files? They have released 3 million of them to the committees here on Capitol Hill, Oversight and Justice. And they're going through another 2 million files right now, trying to redact photographs and names of the survivors. That's going to take a while to get out. We passed the bill last year to say, hey, release all of the files to those on Capitol Hill that need to see them so that we can do our proper oversight and investigation. And it's not that they're slow walking it. They have hundreds of attorneys working on these files. It's not just like you can hire another 1,000 people to go through these files. That does take time. But I think if there had been a little more transparency from the beginning and honesty from the Justice Department that we could have relayed to the American people, that would have gone a long way in keeping the trust or building the trust that we need to have that the truth is getting out there.
So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the efforts happening within the House between you and your colleagues to hopefully increase safety of American American elections. Full committee hearing, this headline from House.gov, full committee hearing, make elections great again, how to restore trust and integrity in federal elections. It's, of course, going to focus on trust in elections and integrity. Can you talk about what's happening and where the focus is? And then kind of as a separate issue, I'd like you to also tell our viewers about some of the work that you're planning in response to the Super Bowl halftime show, not necessarily related, but also want to give you an opportunity to sound off on that.
Sure. All right, let's talk about elections first. Brian Stile is doing a great job, a chairman of administration here on Capitol Hill. And this is all part of the unified effort we have. And I think some Democrats are joining in on this is election integrity, right? We want every vote that should be cast legally to be counted. The Save America Act is, I think, going to have a vote in the Senate. We're voting on it, I believe, this week on the House side. And that basically says that you should not be voting in a federal election if you are not a U.S. citizen. So in order to register to vote, you have to prove your citizenship. And then when you go to vote, you need a photo ID to prove that you are actually the person with the voter registration card. I think that's quite simple. I think it's polling at some 85 to 90% of Americans feel that we should have election integrity in that regards. It is not a hardship for people. If you can find a ride to go to the poll, you can find a ride to go get an ID. Brian Stile has insisted, and this has to be somewhere in the legislation, that these IDs need to be free. It should not cost someone to get an ID in order to vote. That's basically what we're going to be voting on this week. Let's shift over to the Bad Bunny bad performance of the Super Bowl halftime. We are still investigating this. There's a lot of information that has come out about the lyrics. I saw the halftime show, and we're switching back and forth with the TPUSA halftime show. The lyrics, from what we have seen from Bad Bunny, are very disturbing. And if it holds true that I don't speak fluent Spanish, okay? I know how to ask where the bathroom is, but these lyrics, if it is true what was said on national television, we have a lot of questions for the entities that broadcast this, and we'll be talking with Brendan Carr from the SEC about this. But this could be much worse than the Janet Jackson wardrobe malfunction. Let's put it that way.
But at least that was a malfunction. I mean, this was apparently intentional.
This was intentional,
yes.
Yeah,
and they could not have said this were it in English. So just the fact that we're at a place in our country where we had a fully not understandable halftime show to English-speaking people, which is the language of this country, by the way, and that it is that grotesque is just really disturbing.
And here's the ironic part, Dr. Gina.
Yeah.
The NFL purposely wanted a Hispanic star, basically, to perform at halftime because they're trying to attract more of a Latin America audience. And this is what they deliver.
Yeah, trying to pull them away from the football that we call soccer, right?
Yeah.
I don't think this was a good move, though. Maybe check the words before you let him sing the song. Congressman Mark Alford, though, always on top of it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Congressman.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to check out the hottest headlines from the RAV Newsroom with Terrance Bates. And later, a shocking border warning. Intelligence shows a violent Mexican cartel has ordered its gunmen to shoot at U.S. Border Patrol agents. Why this is being called a direct threat to America's sovereignty. That's ahead.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
I've always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer. In the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky. When I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light. Follow the light.
For those who love great animated classics like The Lion King and Prince of Egypt, David is an awe-inspiring animated musical that depicts David as a spirited boy who fought lions, giants, and even betrayal, depicting how one boy's faith could lead him to be king of Israel. David will be released in theaters just in time for Christmas on December 19th, but your family can get a head start by watching the prequel to the film, Young David, which is streaming exclusively right now on Angel. It's perfect for the entire family and has memorable music. So once you join the Angel Guild, you can start watching Young David right now and prepare the fam for the David film in theaters in December. And by joining the Guild, you'll guarantee 2 free tickets to see it. And it's a great value. Let's be honest, going to the movies isn't all that cheap. But if you're a member of the Angel Guild, not only do you get those 2 free tickets to David, but you'll now have access to every single film or TV series on Angel at your convenience.
This news break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
ICE in Milwaukee. ICE has come to Milwaukee. I don't see any protest. All I see is actual ice. It's cold in Milwaukee in February. I know that should not be breaking news here on American Sunrise. Welcome back, everybody, to the big show. I'm David Brody. We've got a lot coming up, including the art of the deal with Cuba. We'll talk about it in a moment. First, though, T. Bates standing by with the latest headlines from the Real America's Voice newsroom, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna appear ready to name names of at least 6 people who they say are, quote, likely incriminated in the Justice Department's latest Jeffrey Epstein document dump. The names surfaced after the congressman reviewed unredacted versions of the documents. While the lawmakers are on record saying that they want to give the DOJ more time to unredact files, they're also prepared to share the names on the House floor. Now, if they move forward with outing the potential suspects whose names are in the documents, they'd be protected under the House's speech and debate clause, which provides lawmakers immunity from civil or even criminal liability. Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie saying one of the names is associated with a man who was, quote, pretty high up in a foreign government. No word this morning if the person in question is former British ambassador to the U.S., Peter Mandelson, whose name has recently been associated with the Epstein case. Mandelson's appointment by current British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, in fact, has Starmer fighting off furious calls for his resignation. Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell appears to be wheeling and dealing when it comes to divulging information about Jeffrey Epstein and his sex trafficking ring. On Monday, she followed through on her promise to invoke the Fifth Amendment so as to not incriminate herself during her deposition before House Oversight Committee members. In fact, she was questioned during a video call from the federal prison camp in Texas, where she's currently serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking. An attorney for Maxwell has reportedly told lawmakers that Maxwell is willing to testify that neither President Trump nor former President Bill Clinton are responsible for any wrongdoing in their relationship with Epstein. Maxwell is trying to have her conviction overturned, saying that she was wrongfully convicted. The disappearance of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, is becoming increasingly more suspicious. The elder Guthrie still missing now more than a week after investigators believe she was abducted. The latest twist in the case is that the Guthrie family acknowledged over the weekend that they were prepared to pay a ransom, which was purportedly due on Monday evening. Well, Monday, the FBI released a statement saying that it wasn't aware of any ongoing communication between the family and any suspected kidnappers. The feds also say they haven't identified any suspects or persons of interest in the case. Meantime, the Today Show host released this video on social media Monday.
No matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help.
No confirmation this morning, though, on whether the family, in fact, did pay the ransom or not. If there, in fact, was a ransom, we'll, of course, keep you updated, and we'll continue to watch that show. All right, folks, let's get a quick check of your forecast now with Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony. By the way, go to our various social media platforms, be it Getter, Rumble, YouTube. Let us know where you're hanging out, and who knows, Tracy might hook you up with the hometown forecast in our next hour. Tracy, good morning to you. What is this video I'm watching here? What's this?
Terrance, this is Hawaiian Electric as they're working to restore power. Over the weekend, if you missed it, Hawaii was dealing with a big system that brought in significant amounts of rain and winds up to 70, 80 miles per hour. Now, rainfall totals 16 inches just in 24 hours, and some of these cities ended up with close to 30 inches of rain. So they're dealing with landslides and flooding, and the cleanup continues today. Yesterday was kind of the last day of the rain. But back across the mainland, we do have another low that's going to be working on shore out west. That's going to bring in some much needed moisture and snow across the Intermountain West. We're tracking this low that's going to work across the northeast today, and that's going to bring a good amount of rain across the southeast and the mid-Atlantic. So again, these areas, the southeast and out west, they're areas that desperately need the moisture. So this is a good thing, Terrance.
All right, Tracy, appreciate it, and we'll check back in with you next hour for our hometown forecast. Looking forward to seeing who drops into our chat and lets us know where they're hanging out. Thanks, Tracy.
Yeah. See you soon.
See you soon. All right, folks, up next, President Trump under pressure this morning from Cuban-American lawmakers to take a hard line against Cuba's communist regime. So what does this ultimately mean for the entire region? We'll explain. Right now, though, a quick look at this day in history. It was on this date in 1997 that a jury in California found former NFL star O.J. Simpson liable for the wrongful deaths of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. The jury awarded millions of dollars in damages to the families of the two victims after a highly publicized criminal and even civil trial following the couple's murders in 1994. The civil verdict came more than a year after Simpson was acquitted in his criminal trial.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. This is a monumental moment in American culture. This Sunday, Real America's Voice and Real America's Music come together to do what the mainstream industry won't. Take the music back. Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, we go live with exclusive pre-coverage of the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show, a patriotic alternative. For years, the left has weaponized the music industry, using it to push politics, erase values, and divide the country. That ends now. This all-American halftime show exists to celebrate American pride, traditional values, and artists who still stand with the heartland. Featuring Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett, artists who connect with real Americans. Join us live for coverage that turns the music industry on its head. Real America's Voice, Real America's Music, the TPUSA All-American Halftime Show.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The city of bridges, by the way. 446 bridges in Pennsylvania. All right, there you go. Next cocktail party you go to, throw that out. And they'll be like, wow, I'm so impressed. And they'll say, why did you even say that? Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. All right, Cuban-American lawmakers are urging President Trump to put total pressure on Cuba's communist regime. They call it a cancer in our hemisphere. The New York Post reporting that lawmakers and experts say the regime has been extremely weakened. They want the Trump administration to suspend all flights to Cuba and remittances to the island, among many other measures. Trump says the U.S. has been in contact with Cuban officials about some sort of agreement. Well, for more, let's bring in the president of Iris Independent Research. That would be Dr. Rebecca Grant, back with us on the show. So, Dr. Grant, we've heard President Trump talk about some sort of possible agreement with Cuba. They're working on some stuff. I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, how might this go? This is, well, inquiring minds would like to know, put it that way.
Well, so would I. Wouldn't you just love to see the economic restoration of Cuba? You know, here you've got Cuba, 90 miles from the best country with the biggest economy in the world. That's us, the USA, and the place is falling apart. Now, Trump has said all along that he expects to make this an economic squeeze. And I tell you, apparently they are almost out of aviation fuel, Jet A, which is what you fly your commercial airliners with. They run out of that kind of fuel, and that will really put the pinch on them. Behind the scenes, I hope they're working on a plan. We know it's a big priority, of course, for Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Yeah.
Put into perspective for us, please, the importance of Cuba. Obviously, you said, yeah, it's close to the United States. But what is the benefit to the United States here?
Well, from international politics perspective, Cuba has been a thorn in our side for so long. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1963. It's Cuba's ties to socialists and communists. They still have a base where the Russians parked two of their fanciest, biggest warships just over a year ago. And we would really like to see Cuba back in the fold of Western nations and not, a possible stopping point for Russia and all this. But most of all, we see that the Western Hemisphere is a big priority for President Trump, as it should be for all of us. We see other better governments in other countries in the Western Hemisphere, and we just love to see the change in Cuba. And it would mean so much, of course, to so many Cuban Americans here as well.
There's a headline from News Nation that reads, Mexican cartel members ordered to shoot at Border Patrol agents. The agents are on high alert, and the memo cited FBI reporting. So what do you think happens with this regard?
Well, two things. First of all, I'm glad to see them getting this intelligence tipper. I suspect they get tippers like this fairly often. And so Border Patrol goes, OK, we understand what this means. However, this is the Jalisco cartel. They're a spinoff from Sinaloa. These guys are the fentanyl traffickers. And they sort of use a system where they're in charge and they have a bunch of locals that work for them as well. So it is very dangerous. Stepping back, unbelievable what's been allowed to happen in Mexico with this control of the cartels. And I'm so glad that President Trump has put many of them on the terror list. That gives us the ability to keep a heightened watch. And I will say we do have wonderful surveillance assets down there at the border. But scary to see. Mexico really could be a problem.
Dr. Grant, let me ask you about Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He is currently on a plane headed here to the United States. He's going to meet with President Trump tomorrow. Obviously, those talks are going to focus on Iran and those U.S. negotiations over its nuclear program and regional threats. Where is this going exactly? Because, clearly, let's just paraphrase here, right? Netanyahu's coming to Washington to say, please, Mr. President, what are you doing? Why are we talking to Iran about all of this when that is going to be a non-starter? You're not going to get anywhere with these guys. So, I'm assuming that's what he's doing here, but tell us more.
Well, exactly. And I suspect that, in his brief work at their missile sites that are distributed all across the country. Netanyahu probably also is saying, hey, make sure this is on your target list. Now, we know that President Trump has a pre-brief set of targets, maybe 80 to 100 targets. I personally think some of those are going to be missile sites, but there's a big possibility that there are leadership targets here that would be part of a potential effort to weaken the IRGC and the Ayatollah's control over the Iranian apparatus. So that is going to be one interesting discussion, the kind of thing they need to talk about in person because of the sensitive intel. And then, of course, Netanyahu will make his case. No doubt they will also touch on Gaza, where I'm glad to say we are seeing more aid trucks getting through and the ceasefire is holding.
Yeah, obviously big news coming eventually here, because last time Netanyahu came to Washington, we know what happened with those strikes in Iran. Dr. Grant, thanks for being here, as always.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Dr. Grant.
Great stuff. All right, coming up, an Australian hospital opening this new high-tech imaging suite that supports advancing cancer care. Doctors can diagnose and treat patients in one place, and it delivers fast and safe care for patients across a part of Australia there in southwestern Sydney. We're going to talk about it when we come back.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now. This is a monumental moment in American culture. This Sunday, Real America's Voice and Real America's Music come together to do what the mainstream industry won't. Take the music back. Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, we go live with exclusive pre-coverage of the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show, a patriotic alternative. For years, the left has weaponized the music industry, using it to push politics, erase values, and divide the country. That ends now. This all-American halftime show exists to celebrate American pride, traditional values, and artists who still stand with the heartland. Featuring Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett, artists who connect with real Americans. Join us live for coverage that turns the music industry on its head. Real America's Voice, Real America's Music, the TPUSA All-American Halftime Show.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks again for joining us. Time now for today's health news. It is sponsored by the Wellness Company. And under the microscope today, new breakthroughs in combating cancer. This is really exciting. I came across this yesterday, actually on Instagram, looked up the study, sent it in to the producers. The Liverpool Hospital has unveiled a new state-of-the-art medical imaging suite, first of its kind in New South Wales. This facility combines MRI, CT, and angiography, and all of this technology is in one location. This allows doctors to diagnose and then go in and treat the cancer without moving them and without chemo and without radiation. Health officials say the upgrade will improve safety, speed up care, and support more complex life-saving procedures for patients across southwestern Sydney. What the process is, they have a needle, they go in, they put a chemical compound inside the tumor that actually causes the tumor to disintegrate. Literally, it freezes it and causes it. And right before their eyes, in front of the imaging, they can watch the tumor begin to disappear. And usually no follow-up chemo or radiation is necessary. Let's bring in the Chief Scientific Officer for the Wellness Company, Dr. Peter McCullough. Dr. McCullough, this is really exciting technology, and I believe, and you and I were discussing on the break, we are really at the cusp of many cures and treatments and even pre-treatments, which we're going to get into with the Wellness Company, for cancer. And it couldn't come at a better time after a combination of the vaccine and, of course, the virus or viruses have, it looks like, led to higher cancer rates. They're now saying 1 in 3 people will get cancer, but we may have a solution.
You know, so true. We're hearing so much from our colleagues in oncology. I'm at the Battle for Science conference hosted by Lighthouse TV just outside Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and we have oncologists here. We believe that pandemic years will increase cancers of almost all sorts. You know, the current data from the National Center for Cancer in the United States is just from 2022 data. So we imagine when 2023 and those roll in, the numbers will go up. The technology you described is very exciting. Remember, so many solid organ cancers like lung, kidney, pancreas, they're potentially curable if caught early, but we rely on advanced imaging to detect them. It's so good to see this coming together. Of course, now there are multiple trials testing, widely available ivermectin and mebendazole in combination, adding on to conventional treatments to reduce the recurrence and potentially, cure cancer.
Yeah, it really is exciting. And this one in particular, I believe, was effective on liver kidney and lung cancer, as you mentioned. But very exciting stuff happening also in terms of prevention. Talk to us about that, Dr. McCullough.
A lot of people think about preventing heart disease through diet and exercise. People don't think about how to prevent cancer. And it turns out there are lifestyle as well as, other things we can do, dietary for sure. And at the Wellness Company, we've innovated, and Dr. Kelly Victory, who is a cancer survivor herself, has helped assemble, we think, the best of all the medicinal and culinary botanicals into a system. It's called SHIELD. It involves 3 soft gel capsules a day and then 1 drink per day. And it's designed for people at risk for cancer or those with cancer that are working to try to lower their chances of recurrence.
And can you tell us metabolically what this does?
What's important here is to understand our body has a cancer surveillance system. One of the most prominent ones is called P53. There are ways through botanicals to increase the activity of these cancer surveillance systems. So when a neoplastic cell arises, the human body turns it off or snuffs it out before it develops into a metastasis.
And in a recent post on Substack, you told us more about this. You said nature first, drugs last when it comes to cancer prevention. Explain.
Well, people have been interested in whether or not they can take a drug. So, for instance, and it's limited. So let me say, aspirin to help prevent colon cancer. It's still debatable. People have looked at aromatase inhibitors, for instance, the prevention of breast cancer. But if we actually use diet as well as safe nutraceuticals, we can use those long-term over many, many years. So it would be these things first. And then if a cancer does arise, we use conventional surgery, chemotherapy, radiotherapy. But boy, wouldn't it be great to prevent cancer, certainly in each one of us, and lower the population burden? You pointed out, Dr. Gina, it's a huge number of us that are going to develop cancer.
Yeah, and one of the things that I love about the Wellness Company and the thing that you do is you kind of combine all of the things that a lot of us are reading and know about. But literally, I have trays full of tinctures that I was having to do every single day. And the nice thing, for example, with SHIELD, it has things in it that I was already putting in to other things just to try to get them all in one day, and it became all consuming. This makes it easy. Things like turmeric, which we all know is really good, green tea extract, black cumin seed oil. These are components in the Wellness Company's new product, SHIELD, but you're not having to take them all in all these different ways. It kind of combines everything all in one fell swoop.
At the Wellness Company, we haven't patented these either. So the ingredients are all there for people to follow. But what we've done is put them in single products that have multiple ingredients. It becomes far more cost effective. It becomes easier to take. And we do believe these in combination, they have a synergistic effect. So while each individual one can do a little, when we combine 6 to 8, in a single product, we do much better. These principles work for cancer prevention as well as detoxification.
And the mushrooms, of course, we're reading so much about turkey tail and other mushrooms. But you're right. When you use them all together, it matters a lot. So if you can only get in a few of the different supplements in a day, it may not be as effective as with SHIELD, where it puts them all at one moment.
So true. And, just a matter of getting in the habit of doing this every day. I think, most of us now, through the pandemic years are taking more supplements than we did before the pandemic years. And it's a matter of sticking with it, understanding it's a long-term approach, but boy, the benefits can be so big.
Yeah. What are you seeing? What are you hearing from your customers and your patients?
Well, for sure, the population has moved to higher doses of vitamin D. This is important. Vitamin D, not only for, raising the body's immune system, but also reducing the risk of metabolic bone disease, heart disease, neurodegenerative diseases. Many are taking immune boosters that include, zinc and vitamin C, oregano, echinacea, elderberry, because there are data to support we can actually reduce the risk of getting recurrent viral infections. And so, I think all of us ought to be having, in addition to our diet and exercise, a supplement strategy to stay healthy.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing? These are all things God had out there before Rockefeller and his oil got involved in our medicine system. Dr. Peter McCullough, thank you for bringing this all back, all these natural cures. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. February is National Cancer Prevention Awareness Month. Now more than ever, you want to be asking what you can do to lower your chance of cancer. And if you or a loved one is battling cancer or at risk, make sure that no stone is left unturned in your effort to stay healthy. That's where the Wellness Company comes in. You know the Wellness Company. We have their great doctors like we just did, like Dr. Peter McCullough on all the time. The Wellness Company and their doctors are medical professionals. You can trust them. The Wellness Company is committed to providing safe, low-cost alternatives to big pharma, from ivermectin to methylene blue to their fantastic new product we were just talking about, protecting you from cancer in various ways, Shield, and so much more. The Wellness Company gives you the opportunity to make the promise of the MAHA movement a reality in your life. This February, let's take control of our health. Go to twc.health/RAV today. Give it an order. That's twc.health/RAV. Use the promo code RAV. That'll save you 10%. Prepare now and don't wait. All right, coming up, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth continued his tour for the Arsenal of Freedom in New England. And what came from that trip? We have an update.
From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. This is a monumental moment in American culture. This Sunday, Real America's Voice and Real America's Music come together to do what the mainstream industry won't. Take the music back. Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, we go live with exclusive pre-coverage of the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show, a patriotic alternative. For years, the left has weaponized the music industry, using it to push politics, erase values, and divide the country. That ends now. This all-American halftime show exists to celebrate American pride, traditional values, and artists who still stand with the heartland. Featuring Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett, artists who connect with real Americans. Join us live for coverage that turns the music industry on its head. Real America's Voice, Real America's Music, the TPUSA All-American Halftime Show.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. It's time to stay awake, not woke, and today we are discussing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth's trip to New England. Hegseth toured defense manufacturers. This is also being used to call for changes in defense procurement measures. Let's bring in RAV correspondent David Zier, who was on the ground. David, what more can you tell us?
An incredible day here. The Department of War, Pete Hegseth, laser focused on delivering weapon systems at speed and scale to our warfighters. And we had this amazing trip yesterday, traveling to Quonset Point, Rhode Island, to General Dynamics Electric Boat Division, where they employ 25,000 people between there and Connecticut, hiring 8,000 more people. He gave this incredible speech to 2,500 employees. They were just on fire. I got to gaggle with Pete Hegseth on the ground at Joint Base Andrews when we were finished. But in between, we also went to Bath Iron Works up in Bath, Maine, a city of only 9,000 people. But they have a 65-acre facility where they make all of our guided missile destroyers, the most successful shipbuilding program since World War II, the Arleigh Burke Aegis class guided missile destroyers. We just produced the USS Barnum, and we're about to get the Lewis Wilson out of there, and that's where a lot of the Trump stuff's going to be built. You know, the new Trump ships, which may have direct energy weapons and other high technology like rail guns and stuff. So it's so many exciting things going on. It seems like there's a new attitude in the Pentagon.
Absolutely exciting. Definitely want to make sure that the U.S. military has the top-notch equipment, everything that is the best on the market. What would you say was Hegseth's overall messaging during his speeches on this tour?
He was so blown away. We had 2,500 screaming workers building our submarines, our new Columbia-class submarines in Rhode Island and Connecticut. These things are 560 feet long or more. They're 43-foot beams. They have 30-year nuclear reactors. They were so motivated. He was humbled by that. And they were screaming Trump and Pete and everything, and it was incredible. Same thing at the Bath Iron Works, which was taken over by General Dynamics in 2020, where they had strikes and COVID. But they are back to full capacity over there. And he also told me that the Pentagon, when we gaggled, they can't get out of their own way, in a way, and we have to get through that red tape. And he's trying to make those changes. And I've been all over Fort Bragg. I was with the head of U.S. Space Command 2 weeks ago in Orlando. And these guys are really focused and laser focused on getting these systems in the hands of the warfighters. And it goes in sync with Trump's executive order for defense acquisitions that was codified in the NDAA by both Democrats and Republicans. And next year's defense budget, they're looking at maybe $1.5 trillion because they don't want, and Hegseth said, troops living on welfare also, and they want to take care of them and step this up. We have real-time threats emerging out there. It's time to produce stuff and get it to the military without the cost overruns as much, and the defense contractors not performing on time. He was very critical of that. So it was really an amazing day, and he couldn't have been nicer as usual.
David Zier, where is the Arsenal of Freedom tour going next?
I don't know where their next stop is, but he's been crisscrossing the country. He was in Texas, he was in California, he was at Merritt Island with Blue Origin last week by Cape Canaveral, and he is getting the message out. And the reason for the Arsenal of Freedom tour is to engage with the workers, the shipbuilders, the guys who produce these drones and missile technology. We also delivered this autonomous underwater, the largest facility in the world to produce underwater autonomous, ships that can launch torpedoes and stuff. He is connecting with the workers. He gave a speech to each location, and to let them know that they're appreciated and that they're appreciated by the American people. And we do have these real threats across the globe that we have to address. So that's his mission and that's his message. Keep up the motivation.
He is certainly on a mission. David Zier, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Emily.
Coming up, the search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie continues. Missing for more than a week, her family is asking for prayers as investigators search for answers. How can the faith community help? We assess next on American Sunrise.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now. This is a monumental moment in American culture. This Sunday, Real America's Voice and Real America's Music come together to do what the mainstream industry won't. Take the music back. Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, we go live with exclusive pre-coverage of the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show, a patriotic alternative. For years, the left has weaponized the music industry, using it to push politics, erase values, and divide the country. That ends now. This all-American halftime show exists to celebrate American pride, traditional values, and artists who still stand with the heartland. Featuring Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett, artists who connect with real Americans. Join us live for coverage that turns the music industry on its head. Real America's Voice, Real America's Music, the TPUSA All-American Halftime Show.
God bless the USA.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. It's now time for our moment of faith, which is brought to us by Lee Greenwood and the God Bless the USA Bible. In focus today, the search for Nancy Guthrie. The 84-year-old has been missing for more than a week now. Investigators are pushing for answers. Her children say they are drawing on faith, and they're asking the public to pray for her safe return. In fact, Today Show host Savannah Guthrie thanked the nation for all of those prayers.
Thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place.
Let's bring in the CEO and president of Coral Ridge Ministries and the founder of the Institute for Faith and Culture, Dr. Robert Pacienza. Doc, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So it seems to me that there's a lesson here in faith to be taught. Obviously, this is a situation that's out of the family's control, but rooting oneself in God and the fact that He's in control of all things, I would hope could give one peace.
Absolutely. In times of trial and times of suffering, my family in particular has gone through its own personal tragedy when we lost our daughter 7 years ago. And the only place to turn to is the one that we recognize who created the heavens and the earth, the God who is there not only when times are good, but when we go through trials and suffering. We recognize the one who leads us by His strong right arm and sustains us even through the storm.
Give us some practical application, because what I've laid out is theoretical. Many of us know these things, that you root yourself in God, but let's just be honest. When we're in times of tribulation, it's human nature to try to want to do it ourselves, to try to want to lean onto our own understanding, even though the Bible says don't lean under your own understanding.
Yeah, practically speaking, we can go to God's Word. We can recognize all of the ways and all of the promises found in his word, where he reminds us over and over again of how he has sustained his people, how he's provided for his people. So it's leaning on the promises of God. It's going to God in prayer. We think of the people that we respect and people that we love and people that we honor, but there's nobody that's more available than God at all times. I can't pick up the phone and just call my favorite football player or movie star, but I can always call on God for prayer. He's always there. He's always listening. And I think the last thing is just surrounding yourself by people that can lift you up, remind you that God is there for you, and friends that can point you heavenward and remind you to take comfort in Him and Him alone.
I love the prayer aspect of what you said, and it's an opportunity to be specific in prayer. Oftentimes people just make kind of these general prayers, but be specific and then expect that those prayers will be answered or at least are heard.
Absolutely. We need to pray to a God that not only hears us and listens, but He delivers on His promises, and He loves to hear from His children. And sometimes I even admit that I don't pray specific enough, that we need to pray to a God that can answer our prayers. As I always tell people that are going through a time of suffering and struggle, that if God had the power to raise His Son from the dead, surely He has the power to deliver you from your suffering and to meet you exactly where you're at. So pray specifically and pray with big expectations, because we have a big God.
Amen. Amen. Pastor, always good to see you. Always a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We're back with the second hour of American Sunrise right after this.
Introducing the limited edition God Bless the USA Bible, inspired by Lee Greenwood's hit song and the most recognized patriotic anthem in America, God Bless the USA. The God Bless the USA large print leather-bound King James Bible also contains America's founding documents, the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance, along with a handwritten chorus to Lee Greenwood's song, God Bless the USA. With its large print and slim design, this Bible invites you to explore God's Word anywhere, anytime. The God Bless the USA Bible makes the perfect gift and cherished family heirloom keepsake to pass on to future generations. Designed for an easy reading experience in the trusted King James Version translation, this large print Bible is perfect to take to church, Bible study, work, and for traveling. Order yours today at GodBlessTheUSABible.com.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now.
This is a monumental moment in American culture. This Sunday, Real America's Voice and Real America's Music come together to do what the mainstream industry won't. Take the music back. Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, we go live with exclusive pre-coverage of the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show, a patriotic alternative. For years, the left has weaponized the music industry, using it to push politics, erase values, and divide the country. That ends now. This all-American halftime show exists to celebrate American pride, traditional values, and artists who still stand with the heartland. Featuring Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett, artists who connect with real Americans. Join us live for coverage that turns the music industry on its head. Real America's Voice, Real America's Music, the TPUSA All-American Halftime Show.
Coming up on the second hour of American Sunrise, 2 lawmakers say the DOJ is hiding 6 names in the Epstein files. And if the Justice Department doesn't come clean, one of them says he may read those names aloud on the House floor. We're going to talk about the showdown over the Epstein files just ahead. Plus, bad news for the ladies of The View. There they are. The FCC investigating the ABC program for allegedly giving political candidates unequal airtime in favor of Democrats. We'll have the details. And later, former CNN anchor Don Lemon's key claim regarding his disruptive coverage of a protest inside that Minnesota church service is falling apart after one student says he helped him organize the whole thing. We're going to talk about that later in the hour. Those stories and more as American Sunrise starts on a Tuesday right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics. President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second hour of American Sunrise. I'm David Brody, coming to you from D.C. Let's bring in Dr. G in West Palm Beach. T. Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning to both of you. Topping the headlines this morning is my trip to Las Vegas, of course. I know most people want to know about it. And I had a great time, I just want to say. Can I just say, I went to Las Vegas. We did a nice little mini family trip. And, of course, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, except when the cameras are rolling. And we went to the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere out there. That whole new thing, Sphere, you've heard of it, Anyhow, it's amazing. It's immersive, unbelievable. We caught falling apples, the whole thing. Just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Here's what I can't believe, David. You were at the Sphere. The Eagles were playing there within the target date that you were there. And you didn't stay to see the Eagles. I am dying to see the Eagles. I've begged my son, because he's friends with the people that own the Sphere, and I'm like, I want backstage passes. I want to meet the Eagles before. I mean, this is their last tour. This is the long goodbye tour.
I get it, but let me just say, the Eagles, I think we missed it by a day or something like that. You know who was playing the night at the Sphere? The Backstreet Boys. I'm not going to go see the Backstreet Boys because it was $650 a ticket. I'm good. No thanks.
Yeah, the tickets at the Sphere start at like $450. They are not cheap. But the Eagles, and this is their long goodbye. This is the last tour. At the end of March, I believe they're done. They're done. Really? And it's the Eagles. I'm just saying.
Well, I got to go back to Vegas. I got to go back to Vegas.
Got to go back to Vegas. I think we should take all of our families and go see the Eagles before they leave at the Sphere, and maybe.
I like that.
Yeah.
Let's do a show out there and we can expense the whole thing. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
I know you don't know who the Eagles are, but I'm going to sweeten this for you. I'm joking. I know you don't like them, but I'm going to sweeten this deal. Hang on. I've got this.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to sweeten this deal. Terrance, more of the best chefs. I'm not a Vegas person either because I don't like to gamble. And I don't like to see gambling. I don't like to smell gambling. That's kind of a weird thing to say, but it's true. But anyway, Terrance, more of the best chefs concentrated in one place than any other city in America, in Las Vegas. Food, Terrance.
Okay.
We did a food tour.
Now, with that, you got the Bates family. I could see my girls looking at me like, we're going to see who? We're doing what? Okay. But when I say but there's a good steak or there's a nice restaurant at the end of it, they'll be like, okay, we can go see it.
Lots
so, okay,
of good food.
You know me way too well. You can bribe me with food anytime.
All three of us,
guys,
I think.
Absolutely. Let's get to a couple of quick headlines here. Representatives Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna appear ready to name names of at least 6 people who they say are, quote, likely incriminated in the Justice Department's latest Jeffrey Epstein document dump. The names surfaced after the congressman reviewed unredacted versions of those documents. While the lawmakers are on record saying that they want to give the DOJ more time to unredact files, they also appear prepared to share the names on the House floor. Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell, in the meantime, appears ready to be wheeling and dealing when it comes to divulging information about Jeffrey Epstein and his sex trafficking ring. On Monday, she followed through on her promise to invoke the Fifth Amendment so as to not incriminate herself during her deposition before the House Oversight Committee. However, an attorney for Maxwell has reportedly told lawmakers that Maxwell is willing to testify that neither President Trump nor former President Bill Clinton are responsible for any wrongdoing in their relationship with Epstein. Maxwell also trying to have her conviction overturned, saying that she was wrongfully convicted. And the disappearance of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, becoming increasingly more suspicious. The elder Guthrie still missing more than a week after investigators believe she was abducted. The latest twist in the case is that the Guthrie family acknowledged over the weekend that they were prepared to pay a ransom, which was purportedly due Monday evening. Well, earlier in the day on Monday, the FBI released a statement saying it wasn't even aware of any ongoing communication between the family and any suspected kidnappers. The feds also say they haven't identified any suspects or persons of interest in the case. That's a quick check of your headlines. We'll have more headlines coming up throughout the show, but now let's get a quick check of your hometown forecast with Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony. Tracy, good morning.
Hey, good morning. We got a couple hometown forecasts this morning. Taking you to Margate, Florida. Thanks, Dr. John on Getter. You've got a beautiful forecast. South Florida here. Hey, I love it. Mix of sun and clouds, temperatures just below 80. This is that perfect time of year in Florida. This is when you come visit. This is beautiful. Now, up in New Jersey, I think it's Voorhees. I'm not quite sure if I pronounced that correctly, but thanks, Casey, for this hometown. You're going to have a pretty nice forecast as well. Temperatures looking quite a bit warmer than where you've been the last few weeks. You did get a little dip midweek, but most of the precipitation will stay to the north of you. Notice, north of New Jersey. We do have winter weather advisories across New England for the overnight. That's going to linger for about an inch of snow and some ice possible. Now, I want to leave you just with a look at what your daytime highs will be across the country. All of us feeling a lot better than where we were at last week. So get out there and enjoy the toasty weather, Terrance. You might be a little cooler, actually. Now that I think about it.
Oh, no, thanks. You could have just left that part out, Tracy. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you next. Well, I guess we'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, let's get you over to David. David, good morning.
All right. Good morning, T. Bates. So as we've been talking about, Congressman Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, they're accusing the Justice Department of redacting 6 names from the newly released Jeffrey Epstein files, names they say the law requires to be public. The 2 lawmakers stood outside the DOJ, and they warned that these mystery men, some American, some foreign, may have been protected far beyond what the law allows. Massie says if the DOJ doesn't fix it, he may read those names on the House floor, shielded by the speech and debate clause. Khanna and Massie have both threatened Attorney General Pam Bondi with inherent contempt if the remaining Epstein files are not released. All right, well, joining us now with analysis on this is the editor-in-chief for Just the News. That would be John Solomon. John, good morning. I know there have been some updates here, and some names have been unredacted now. But what do you make of these moves by Massie and Ro Khanna? I mean, clearly Epstein files not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, listen, the files are going to show what we've been talking about in this show and what I began reporting on regularly in 2021, that Jeffrey Epstein ran a sex operation, that it trafficked underage minors at times. That one of the complications that prosecutors had is that some of the women who were initially victims became recruiters when they became adults. And so the case is messy, and that there were prominent people that hung around with a really creepy dude who they shouldn't have hung around with. There were people in the Democratic Party who took big donations from him, even though everybody knew what his reputation and his business was. I don't think anything is going to change that narrative in one way or the other. The 6 people will not be surprising when the names come out. There'll be names that have surfaced previously from the women. It is a disgusting and horrific and unexcusable sex scandal that could have been stopped by the Bush administration's Justice Department back in 2007 and 2008. The Bush Justice Department took a pass on this, and they could have saved a lot of young women heartache. They could have saved a lot of bad conduct if they had just done their job. I want to remind people in 2019, the first Justice Department to take on Epstein and to take him off the street was the Trump Justice Department. But before that, the Obama Justice Department and the Bush Justice Department let this creepy dude roam the world and harm young women. And now the legacy of that is there. There's no way to color the picture any differently. There's no set of facts that are going to come out any different than what's there. And, you know, what Massey and Ro Khanna are doing is classic political grandstanding. I don't remember Ro Khanna talking to me back in the early 2010s when I was looking at this, or when we did our big series in 2021. He didn't seem interested then. He's only interested now because they want to try to make this stick to Donald Trump. The evidence is not going to stick to Trump. The real blame here is the Bush Justice Department. It greatly deserved this country. George W. Bush, Alberto Gonzales, all the people that were in that Justice Department owe the American people answers. And I don't think Tom Massey or the Republicans are willing to go back that far and hold their old Republican administration accountable.
Serious questions being asked about some of the country's top law enforcement and Justice Department officials and agencies. So to that end, I want to bring your attention to new information regarding what the FBI knew before January 6th, just the news, and you obtained long secret memos showing that the FBI actually ran a 2020 tabletop exercise gaming out the violence after that election. You use unbelievable, and I don't want to be trite, but this is unbelievable. And I guess it really does go to show what people have been saying for quite some time now, John.
Yeah, I think you got it right, Terrance. Listen, let's remind everybody what people were saying in the days after January 6th. Nobody saw this coming. This was an unavoidable thing. It's all Donald Trump's fault. In fact, we knew that Nancy Pelosi was asked to give the National Guard. They didn't do it. The FBI had 26 informants that were warning big violence was going to occur. They didn't do anything. They didn't even warn the Capitol Police. And now we know the FBI actually assumed and thought there was going to be a disputed election, and that disputed election would result in violence, and they practiced for it. They came up with the tactics, which, by the way, they then used on January 6th. And then they kept the fact that they had all that knowledge, all that concern, mostly from the American public for the last 5 years. We're getting every piece of this. January 6th was a false narrative, like Ukraine impeachment was a false narrative, and like Russia collusion was a false narrative. The only question in my mind left now, we got the facts, we got the goods. Is anyone going to go to prison for imposing that false narrative on the American people? That's the big question that Pam Bondi has to answer.
Yeah, and there's another one, too, these Epstein files. I mean, we can talk about how they were around and Bush should have done something. Certainly, I don't think with most of MAGA, most of America First, the Bushes are pretty much persona non grata anyway.
I agree. They are.
But my question to you, John, some of these documents, these emails, particularly between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, are very, very disturbing. There's one in particular naming children as food, and this is really, really out there in social media. Is anything going to happen to Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama? I mean, that's what I want to know. To me, they can try to make this stick to Trump all they want. I don't see anything in there that is new news regarding Trump. But the stuff that I've seen between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama as being part of this ring makes conspiracy theorists look legitimate, John Solomon. Are they going to see prison time?
No, they're not. I think what they're going to see is the ultimate penalty in politics, which is the penalty of shame. I think that's all that's left now. There's not going to be a conspiracy case.
But John, we're talking about children being sexually exploited. Why are they immune to that, John?
Because the statute of limitations has passed. That is the crime that the Bush Justice Department and the Obama Justice Department did. And you now know when you see these emails why Hillary and Bill didn't want to testify, right? And here's the key thing. If you're going to bring a conspiracy case, the main conspirator is dead. It's pretty hard to bring that conspiracy case with a dead conspirator. It is a tragedy upon tragedy. Those young children never deserve the abuse they got. They never deserve the ignorance that the United States government and the political system gave them. They don't deserve the lack of support that they've gotten in the years since then. It is a crime. The ultimate penalty for the Barack Obamas and the Hillary Clintons and all the other people that are named in here will be an extraordinary shame moment that will be put into the history books. But it is not very satisfying if you're somebody that believes in the rule of law. But right now, the posture of the Justice Department and, quite frankly, the status of the law is such that it's going to be very hard to bring people to justice this many years later. Now, there are things that Congress can do, and that is they could create a fund to help these victims. They could sanction, Congress could pass laws and sanction American public figures who allow this to go on. They could penalize them. They could be sued statutorily. The evidence can be given to the victims where the statute of limitations on civil torts are much longer. But that's what we got.
I'll tell you what, that is going to breed a cynicism, John, that I think will be more devastating to our political system than anything else that's happened.
I don't disagree. That's why we wrote the series in 21. We wanted people to know before the statute of limitations expired how bad it was.
All right. Got to run. John Solomon, always a pleasure. Appreciate it. Back in a moment, everybody.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now. This is a monumental moment in American culture. This Sunday, Real America's Voice and Real America's Music come together to do what the mainstream industry won't. Take the music back. Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, we go live with exclusive pre-coverage of the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show, a patriotic alternative. For years, the left has weaponized the music industry, using it to push politics, erase values, and divide the country. That ends now. This all-American halftime show exists to celebrate American pride, traditional values, and artists who still stand with the heartland. Featuring Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett, artists who connect with real Americans. Join us live for coverage that turns the music industry on its head. Real America's Voice, Real America's Music, the TPUSA All-American Halftime Show. Let's spill some tea.
Let's Spill Some Tea is sponsored by Artillery Tea Co., the veteran-owned patriotic tea brand delivering premium whole-leaf tea in biodegradable sachets that brew twice as strong. Patriots, if you love great tea on your terms, check out the Patriots Brew Club for automatic shipments that you control. You can cancel or swap flavors anytime with no commitments. You'll also get free shipping on every order, tiered discounts up to 20% off, and free milestone rewards along the way. Brew strong, stay patriotic. Head to artillerytco.com right now and click Join the Patriots Brew Club to get started. It is now time to spill some tea, and in the cup today, ABC and The View. The Federal Communications Commission is now taking a hard look at ABC's The View, investigating whether the show violated new guidance on equal time for political candidates. This comes after Texas State Rep. James Tallarico, now running for Senate, got about 9 minutes of airtime on the show, while his primary opponent, Representative Jasmine Crockett, had 17 minutes across 3 segments. At the center of the controversy, whether The View still qualifies as bona fide news, a designation that would exempt it from equal time rules. Disney, ABC's parent company, did not file any equal time notices with the FCC, signaling that they believe The View is exempt. But under federal rules, all legally filed candidates, regardless of party, must get equal opportunity on broadcast TV. We will see how this one plays out, but we want to know what you, our viewers, think about it. Let us know on Rumble or Getter. Hop on and let your voice be heard. Coming up on American Sunrise, Democrat Governor Andy Beshear gets the star treatment from The View, with the panel floating him as a potential 2028 candidate, and his comments are raising some early red flags. We'll talk about it next after the break. Stick around.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
This is a monumental moment in American culture. This Sunday, Real America's Voice and Real America's Music come together to do what the mainstream industry won't. Take the music back. Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, we go live with exclusive free coverage of the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show, a patriotic alternative. For years, the left has weaponized the music industry, using it to push politics, erase values, and divide the country. That ends now. This all-American halftime show exists to celebrate American pride, traditional values, and artists who still stand with the heartland. Featuring Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett, artists who connect with real Americans. Join us live for coverage that turns the music industry on its head. Real America's Voice, Real America's Music, the TPUSA All-American Halftime Show.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back, everyone. We're getting you ready for the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. It's set to ring here in about 7 minutes or so. And of course, like we do every day, we'll take you there live. Pre-market trading looking so-so. Not a terrible start to the morning, but again, it gets real once that bell rings, and we'll take you there live. In the meantime, let's get you over to David Brody now. David, good morning.
Good morning, T. Bates. All right. Democrats often use faith as a weapon of political convenience. At least they try to. And that was on full display during Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear's recent appearance on The View. Whoopi Goldberg hyped him up as the most popular Democrat governor in America, touting his resume and his wins in red Kentucky and even his shortlist status for 2028, possibly. The panel gave him softball after softball, from attacking President Trump's election policies to praising his pragmatism, yada, yada, yada. He also defending his record while sidestepping voter ID. Anyhow, here was the governor using his so-called faith to defend radical gender ideology. Have a look at this.
But we rarely talk about the why. People want to know what drives us, especially in a world with social media where everyone's looking for the next authentic thing. For me, that's my faith. Most of the decisions I make are based on that golden rule that says we love our neighbor as ourselves, and that parable of the Good Samaritan that says everyone is our neighbor. And so when I've taken actions like vetoing the nastiest piece of anti-LGBTQ legislation that ever came through my state, I described it in those terms. I said my faith teaches me that all children are children of God, and I didn't want people picking on those kids.
All right, let's bring in Dr. G for a discussion on this. Would you like to tell Andy Bashir a few things, Gina? We have only 3 to 4 minutes. We don't have an hour and a half today, Gina.
Well, after you sent this X post to me yesterday, I said, I re-quoted it on X. I said, I missed where the Bible says marriage isn't sacred, we should kill babies, and that we should remove God from schools. Where is that, Mr. Bashir? Where does it say in the Bible that we shouldn't have any borders whatsoever? Where does it say? I mean, the list goes on and on. This guy's fake Christianity is offensive to me as a Christian, David Brody.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? I mean, there's law and order in the Bible, and there is compassion in the Bible. There's no doubt about it. But these liberals, they love to just concentrate on air quote, and I put air quote compassion because it's not compassion at all what they're doing.
It's the opposite.
But what's exactly, and that's my issue. You know that they cloak it a certain way when the compassionate thing many times is the law and order aspect of it, right? To have borders, to have rules, to have regulations. I mean, not to be so dogmatic about it, but to make sure that you've got to put rules in place. I mean, look at our kids, right? And we don't want to put rules in place. They're going to run roughshod over everyone and everything, Gina.
Yeah, the Bible warns about people like Mr. Bashir. It says in those days they'll call evil good and call good evil. And that's precisely what he's doing. He's flipping biblical doctrine exactly on its head and calling it something it's not. And so as far as him being a 2028 contender, you know what? Bring it. Bring it. I mean, I don't know. Between him, between Kamala, I mean, there's so much good to choose from out there. Gavin, I mean, any of these people, I literally just go like this.
But Gina, here's the thing. I mean, if Kamala Harris is winning 70 million voters, ridiculous. I mean, the fact that she won 70 million votes is insane, and she's off the charts liberal. So imagine Andy Bashir, who policy-wise, I'm talking about policy-wise, he is to the right of her, which isn't hard to do, but he is to the right of her. So the point is like, imagine how the Democrats could have a field day with playing up the faith stuff to people that don't have any clue about what he's really doing here. And imagine him being a potential candidate, because the media would love this. They would track him to the middle and say, look, he's the new Bill Clinton. He's the new center left guy. You know, the Democrats, a new day for the Democrats. I'm telling
have that kind of golden boy look to him that Bill Clinton had. And I also think we're in a different day in politics. I don't think that he will ever become the nominee because I think the left is too rabid and radical.
Yeah. What do you think? Who do you think is going to be the nominee for the Democrats? Any sense at this point? I mean, everybody's saying Gavin Newsom is the odds-on favorite. I don't see it. I think he'll implode somehow, some way. He's going to be an amoeba so much. Like, he's going to just morph around until he's going to be found out. I don't know. What do you think?
I think the left is too stuck on their DEI habit. I think it'll be someone with the DEI qualification.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm not trying to think who that might be. You know, Kamala. You think Kamala's going to run again?
Could be Kamala. I think it could be Kamala. I think it could be. I think you're going to see someone emerge, I think, that fits in some sort of DEI qualification. They just love that so much. They are so enamored with skin color, with sexual orientation, with speaking other languages. They're so anti everything American that they can't possibly see beyond the peripheral. And I think it's really sad.
Yeah, and when it comes to faith, you make the point all the time. When they took God out of their platform in, what was it, 2008? I mean, that was the beginning of the end.
It's who they are.
Sure. All right. Yeah. All right, T. Bates, wherever you are out there in TV land, something you say in like 1975. Anyhow, he's got the opening bell, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
I just clicked my heels 3 times and found my way home from TV land. As you can see on your screen, the applause is underway at the New York Stock Exchange, which means we are moments away from the opening bell there. Boyd is at the podium, and once the bell rings, we'll get an idea of how the markets are looking. So far, so good early this morning. Let's see if there's any change once the markets officially open. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The markets are now officially open. Those first trades are being submitted right now. And look at that. Top to bottom, it is all green. Our board looking very good right now. A positive start to trading on this Tuesday. We'll see if it stays that way. We'll, of course, continue to monitor it for you throughout the day. Still to come here on American Sunrise, ex-CNN anchor Don Lemon says that Americans must keep fighting for the right to a free press following his arrest over his disruptive coverage at a Minnesota church. But now there's new information that's throwing his narrative into doubt. We'll tell you exactly what it is, and we'll have the facts for you. That's ahead.
From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice. Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
Followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer, in the moments I'm afraid. There's a whisper in the wind, and a story in the sky, when I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks for joining us this morning. We invite you to hop in a conversation on YouTube, Getter, and Rumble. It is time now to take the political pulse of America. Here's the beat today. A Temple University student, Jerome Richardson, has turned himself in on federal charges, in court documents now place him as one of the 9 people indicted over the January 18th demonstration at City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Authorities say the protest was organized to target a pastor who also leads ICE's local field office. But what's raising eyebrows is Richardson's own account saying he wasn't just on scene. He was helping Don Lemon with logistics, connecting him with activists ahead of the live stream. It's a detail that suggests this was far from spontaneous, despite Lemon's insistence that he was simply covering events as they unfolded as a citizen journalist. Here's what he said in a YouTube video.
On January 18th, I assisted Don Lemon during his visit to the Twin Cities by helping with logistics and connecting him with local contacts. Don was reporting on the situation on the ground during the occupation by DHS and ICE and Border Patrol agents. And at that time, I was proud to support his work in exposing the everyday injustices resulted from the federal government's agenda.
Joining us now is the host of America's Voice Live and the Steve Gruber Show. Steve Gruber, good morning. Steve, how does this change the claim we've been hearing from old Don Lemon, to quote Rush Limbaugh, since his arrest?
Look, Don Lemon was guilty from day one. We knew that. Look, he is an agitator. He is a disgraced former Chicken Noodle News commentator. He was never a news anchor. He's not a news anchor now. He's not a journalist now. He's a commentator. And that's fine. Call it for what it is, Don. You're a guy who has an opinion, strong opinion, right, wrong, or indifferent, doesn't matter. I believe in the First Amendment. You can say any dumb thing you want. That's fine. The fact of the matter is he was involved in the planning, as we've heard. He was involved in the coordination, as we heard. He wasn't just some guy who came in there. And, you know, and remember this scene right here that you're seeing, where he just crowds right into this minister's face, and the minister puts his hands up, and Don Lemon says, "Don't touch me." Sir, who are you? You're in this guy's church. You're in his guy's house of worship. And Don Lemon is passive aggressive here. And look, he's facing serious charges, especially with the testimony we just heard right there. He was involved in the logistics. He was involved in the planning. He was involved in the execution. He was involved in broadcasting it live to the world. This was part and parcel Don Lemon's brainchild. So if Don wants to say I was committing an act of journalism, well, that would be a first in his career. So that didn't happen because Don Lemon's never committed an act of journalism I've ever witnessed. Maybe you guys can fill me in, but I've never seen one. And you go back over his long and sad career, he's always been an activist. It's what he was here. He was an openly active activist. And look, let the system do its thing. That's what I say. Don, if you're innocent, let a jury of your peers say so. And if you're not, a jury of your peers say so. And good luck in there. And by the way, I hope you've got some good lawyers. You're going to need them.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, he's got some turtlenecks. That's what he does have, for sure. All right, so Steve, Elon Musk, he's jumped fully back into the political fray ahead of this year's midterm elections. End of last year, he had donated $20 million to the 2 top Republican groups. He dropped $10 million more into the Kentucky Senate race last month. So what do you think? I mean, what's going on with Elon? Are things patched up? Why is he doing all of this? And can I just be frank about it? Can I just say it out loud? He's not been a fan of Steve Bannon, to say the least. I mean, where do you think MAGA is on Elon Musk? Exactly?
And adding to David's line of questions there, is he a contender for 2028?
Oh, whoa, hey, no. Oh,
is okay. Elon Musk? No, he was not born in the United States. He can't be a contender for 2028.
True. Good point.
If I'm not mistaken, he was born in South Africa. So we'll just take that right off the top.
But he's going to play.
Thing. Elon Musk can see. Well, Elon Musk can see the same thing the rest of us see. If the Democrats continue to game the system as they have at every level, I mean, let's just talk about the SAVE Act for a moment here. The only group of people in this entire country that don't want voter ID are the elected Democrats in Congress today. Everybody else wants it. Black, white, Hispanic, man, woman, Democrat, Republican, Independent. Everybody wants it. Even CNN reports that. Pew Research reports that. This is an 80-20 issue. It's not even close. So here's Elon Musk saying, wait a second. The only people that don't want voter ID are those guys. Now, why do you think that would be? Oh, we don't want anybody to, have any idea who's voting. I just saw maybe you guys saw this. The sheriff of San Joaquin County saying that they have just identified people that have been voting from Pakistan. They've never even been in this country because you go online, you fill out a form. Are you being honest? Check the box. Yes, I'm being honest. Well, that's good enough for us. Go ahead and vote. And once you get that voter registration, whether it's by a motor voter law or from some form you can find online, you get your ballot every year. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here. Look, there's so much fraud in this country. I don't care if it's Minnesota, people stealing money from the welfare system, voter fraud in California, Illinois, Philadelphia, Detroit. The list just goes on and on and on. So the SAVE Act, to me, is the most critical thing. And Elon Musk understands that if we don't put the money in, because, look, the Democrats treat politics as their religion. When George Soros gives money, he's tithing. In effect, George Soros' fortune has come down dramatically over the last 10 years. He doesn't care. He'll do anything. He'll spend anything. He'll go anywhere, spend any money to destroy this country. It's about time we had a balance to that. And maybe that is Elon Musk putting in money to support things that matter, which means midterm elections. And I'm glad he's back.
Let's talk about the SAVE Act a little bit because House Republicans have passed the act. They're continuing to be proactive in terms of trying to secure our elections. But it seems to me that the ball is being dropped in the Senate, particularly among Senate Democrats who don't have a backbone, it seems like, Steve.
Well, you're on the right track, Terrance. They've dropped the ball in the Senate because they don't have any. All right, let's just get right to it.
I wasn't expecting that, but yes, okay.
There it is. Look, you're not getting this done unless you get rid of the filibuster. We've argued about that on this program before. I don't care. You're not getting the SAVE Act done. You're not getting voter ID. You're not getting determinations of whether you're an American citizen or not. Some states are doing it. Some states are doing the smart thing. Here they are arguing about it in places like Virginia, where you have to have voter ID. John Ossoff, the current sitting senator in the state of Georgia, required government picture ID to get into his campaign event, where he then went on about not needing ID to vote. Not needing ID to vote to get him elected, but you have to have a picture ID to get into the event. I mean, come on. This is so dishonest. This is Jim Crow 2.0. No, this is dishonesty 3.5. They are lying through their teeth. The only reason anybody would be against voter ID is so they could game the system. There is no other explanation. There is no other answer. It's not disenfranchising people. I mean, look, I see. How many people do you know? Any of you? How many adults do you know? Black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. That doesn't have a picture ID, a driver's license, a military ID card. None.
You need it to fish.
The answer is none.
You need it to catch fish in a river.
It's also insulting to black voters and and so many of the other minorities. It's insulting. What? They can't get an ID?
Well, you're right.
What are you trying to say to them?
Let me pick on Terrance here. Terrance, I want to apologize for all of us here about how hard it was for you to get a driver's license. I mean, I'm really ashamed of this. It was so difficult for you to get a driver's. I mean, how many years have you driven, Terrance? A few decades?
Well, I'm driving dirty right now. I don't have a license, and I'm just out here driving. That's a joke, folks. That's a joke. I do have a driver's license. It is easy to get.
Right.
And just to add that under this legislation, very quickly, driver's licenses or any sort of ID, let's put it that way, any sort of identification in order to be able to vote would be free. That is one of the proposals. It wouldn't cost anyone anything, which makes it hard to argue against.
It's free anyway. Yes, a government-issued ID, I checked, is free in every state in America. If you say, I cannot afford to get a government ID, it is free in all 50 states already. Another red herring.
Yeah.
Look, John Thune needs to get his act together. The Republicans in the Senate, grow a pair, would you please? Because we need you to. Because if you don't, the Supreme Court will get packed. Puerto Rico will be a state. D.C. will be a state. They will game the system up and down the line. Virginia, where they're going to turn it into a 10-1 Democrat to Republicans in the Congress, that'll be the play for the rest of the country. In every state, they can ram that through. Wake up, do your damn job.
And every conservative will be investigated in ways we couldn't even have imagined, even in the last administration. But, Steve, I want to get to 2028 politics because it's getting interesting. Nikki Haley is making the circuit. As you mentioned, Elon Musk is playing. I think to be a contender, you don't have to run for president. But I think Elon Musk wants a seat at the table. And I think Elon Musk plans to play big or he wouldn't be playing already. And so I do think he's a contender. I think that he will decide who he thinks is going to be good and put a lot of money behind that person. So how will he contend? Who will he support? What's your best guess as to how he plays in this next election? Because big money is going to matter a lot.
Well, there it is. You hit it. There's how he's going to have a seat at the table. Money, and money.
But he has a lot of
it. Look, and he's got more than the average guy, from what I understand. That's a fact. Look, it takes a tremendous... Here in Michigan, where I live, the estimate of the amount of money being spent in the midterms this year, now we have an open governor's race, an open Senate seat, and, of course, the seats for Congress. $1 billion. In my state alone, we're not a big state, we're a medium state. $1 billion is going to be spent on advertising for political races in this state alone. Think about how that extrapolates across the country. Yeah. What about in states where it really matters? It's going to be hundreds of billions of dollars. It's going to take a lot of money. We need a counterbalance to George Soros. And thank God Elon Musk seems to be the guy that wants to play that role because we need that money to compete in places where Democrats outspend us 5 to 1, 10 to 1, 20 to 1 to sell these lies about open borders, these lies about the Green New Deal, these lies about the president. We need a counterbalance, and I'm glad that Elon is there.
Who will he support, Steve?
Who do you support? Who do I support in 28?
Who will Elon?
No, he.
Oh, well, he won't support Nikki Haley. I'll tell you that. She has exactly zero chance of being president. There are only two contenders in the race for the Republican side right now. That's JD and Marco Rubio. That's the end of your list.
But do you think Elon's going to be into them?
I have no idea. I just went through Elon's biography. It's a very long, strange read. I don't know what he's into any given day. It's educational. I'll just say that, and worth the read if you want to understand Elon Musk or try to understand him. Read the book
Might be
or listen to it on audio tape.
Might be advisable. He will play.
Yeah.
Steve Gruber, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's talk Medicare because a lot of folks aren't getting the full story. Most Medicare agents push Medicare Advantage plans even when they're not right for that person. Why? Because that's where the money is for them. But seniors are paying the price and dearly. And that's what makes Chapter different. They walk you through the original Medicare, Medigap, Medicare Advantage, and Part D with all the pros and cons all laid out for you so you can make the right call for yourself. Donna said her Chapter advisor walked her through every option and explained everything in a way that she could totally understand. Plus, they saved her thousands of dollars, so there's that. If you're on Medicare, or if you will be soon, call 814-CHAPTER. And that way, you can learn about enrollment options and find ways to save. It's free, it's quick, and they can review your options, you guys, in under 20 minutes. So most people wish they had called sooner. There's more American Sunrise after the break. Stay where you are.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
There's a light I've always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer. In the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky. When I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. Today we are going beyond faith, taking a closer look at some of the most mysterious topics in Christianity. New archaeological finds in eastern Turkey are once again stirring global interest in one of history's oldest mysteries. Pottery fragments unearthed near the boat-shaped formation on Mount Ararat have reignited debate over whether this site marks the final resting place of Noah's Ark, as described in Genesis. First identified in 1959 by a Turkish captain, the unusual formation drew wider attention after erosion revealed its ship-like outline, with some saying that its dimensions and location near Turkey's highest peak are more than a coincidence. While scientists urge caution and call for further study, the discovery is once again fueling global debates between belief and scientific skepticism. Let's welcome back to American Sunrise, John Yep, the president of Catholics for Catholics. John, we so appreciate you coming back on the show. Loved our conversation yesterday about the Shroud of Turin, and you have so many connections to these mysteries in Christianity. You actually had a friend that was at Mount Ararat last year. I believe we have some photos from that. Tell us a little bit more.
My friend Michael Hitchborn, who runs the Lepanto Institute, yes, had the chance to actually go there with a small expedition, a group of friends and a Catholic priest, and they ascended Mount Ararat, which is located basically in Iran, Turkey, Armenia, in that region. And just the significance, too. Obviously, anyone who goes there has in mind, will they find the Ark, too, which has been searched really since the times of Eusebius in the 2nd, 3rd century, right? Now, those pictures that you see, what was special about that specific trip, like many thousands have tried to find the Ark, right? In fact, there is a tradition that says that the actual door of the Ark is what makes the current door, the main portal for the famous church in Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, right? So many have tried to find that. Now, that picture you see with my friend Michael and the Catholic priest, that represents what's believed to be the very first sacrifice, like Christian sacrifice or service done since the time that Noah left the ark, because on the top of Mount Ararat, right? If that's in fact where the ark rests today, which many believe that it is. So they had a Catholic mass, which Catholics again believe that the sacrifice of Noah prefigured what happens in churches all around the world today. So just, kind of an amazing just moment to step back in time. They estimate 7,500 years ago is probably when the flood happened. Yes, there are parallel stories, Epic of Gilgamesh, Babylonian stories as well, which reflect that there was this massive flood that happened there. And, the quest is on, of course, to find those, as you saw with the fragments of pottery, that were just discovered recently, that, our faith really rests on hard scientific evidence, which gives us hope to believe that, everything that Jesus spoke about is true.
Absolutely, John. And the thing that I think is the coolest, if you just look at it, right? Just look, you can see it with your eyes. This thing looks like a boat. It looks like an ark. This formation looks exactly like an ark. And this is why so many people from all over the world are traveling just to see it themselves, at the very least, just to be able to reflect and pray. Talk a little bit more about that. Even if the science doesn't specifically back it up, like we said yesterday about the Shroud of Turin, people are always going to try to disprove it. But even just the symbol of faith and what this does to bring people together and bring people closer to the Bible's teachings is so incredible.
Go into the science, but also don't miss, like you just said, the whole point of what the ark actually was. Okay, the ark was a place of refuge. What was the sin of the day that caused the actual flood? The Bible says it was the sin of homosexuality. That is what caused God's wrath to descend upon the earth. So the ark is a symbol of the church. The church is where we find that life away from the flood of the sin that it's all around us. The evil around us is so pervasive. We've been digging in the Epstein files. That is some nasty stuff. Where do we go to? We go to the ark, the Bible, the Word of God. That allows allows us to escape the flood of this life. So as we search for the ark, which is totally fine, and I think it actually helps to build on faith, don't miss the whole spiritual point of what that ark actually was.
John, yep, we so appreciate you going beyond faith with us today. Look forward to having you back later in the week to talk about even more mysteries in Christianity. Great to have you.
Emily.
All right, still to come on American Sunrise, our very own Dr. G hosted a beautiful event at Mar-a-Lago supporting Moms for America. We'll show you the very special Rav fans that she met there. You don't want to miss this. Stay with us.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
Always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer. In the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky. When I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light.
All right, welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks for joining us this morning. It is time now for the one to watch. Here's something I had my eye on this past weekend. On Friday, the national organization called Moms for America held their fifth annual Mothers of Influence and Champion of Freedom Awards at President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago Club in Palm Beach right here. A sold-out gathering of conservative leaders, activists, and influential women and some men fighting to protect family, faith, and liberty across the nation. This event celebrated moms who have had such an impact in their communities and is part of Moms for America's effort to activate and empower moms to advance freedom and constitutional values. I had such a great time attending this event. I'll tell you what, it was really cool. Here's what was really cool, you guys, is that's Mike Rowe right there from Dirty Jobs. You guys know him. But and Brittany Aldean, she was fantastic. And her husband, Jason, was there as well, if y'all know him. They said we need to play more country music for our intros and outros. But this lady right here, this is Brittany Aldean's beautiful mother. And do you know what she told me, you guys? She told me that she watches our show every single morning and that when she moves to a new house or goes on vacation, first thing she says is, I want to make sure I can get Real America's Voice first thing in the morning with my coffee because I can't miss it. She told me that, you guys. No lie, straight up. And it was so cute. And so you just don't ever know who's watching. And that's kind of my point here. It was really great to get to see. And you know who else I got to meet? Kathy Lee Gifford.
Oh, I want to meet Kathy Lee Gifford. I've never met her.
Almost a bucket list thing for me. Yes, I started singing some of her children's lullabies that I sung to my children, and she sang them with me. Do you know she's 77 years old and looks absolutely fantastic?
Really?
I had a picture of her, but I don't know what happened to it. But anyway, but yeah, meeting the Aldines and hearing that they watch our show, their whole family was there. It was really